That's HelloGreedo in a nutshell, really.
If he had like maybe a few more years of education or like a teacher, that'd be like, no, don't do that. Don't think that way.
Stop it. Stop. What the fuck?
Read a book first, then talk about the topic, please. Anyway, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 183, Star Wars and Politics. What a fantastic title. The two things I never want to talk about connected, but here they are. And unfortunately, it's
Don't mind me if I eat my digestive biscuit.
Ooh, hey. That's a great... I wish I had some digestive biscuits to go with this video.
What are digestive biscuits?
What are they?
Yeah.
Well, they're things you chew on, and they make your stomach feel good because they suck up all the juices of your stomach and makes you have some tea, maybe some honey if you got a sore throat. It's great. Wonderful thing to have in the wintertime.
You know, after taking in this, after consuming this HelloGreedo video, I think my digestion's gonna need everything it can have.
Oh, yeah. I didn't have any alcohol, so I'm like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna bitch all the entire time. Oh, okay. Well, luckily we'll have Shiny to reel me in and Crazy Philosopher to keep myself trying to mirror my stoicism onto him. It's like, oh, he's not as angry as I am. I should calm down now. Okay. So, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to another day, another Smudcast, and we're doing HelloGreedo. This is an 11-minute video, and that's long enough when it comes to HelloGreedo. I think we're going to be here for at least 2 hours, hopefully no longer, but I can't guarantee. I'm trying to, as you guys have noticed, I'm trying to cut the people on cast as short as possible so we don't talk over each other, so we get everyone to say exactly what they want, and everything's nice and clear. And it really helps when you got Shiny on board with a Star Wars video and Crazy Philosopher in general, just because he seems to be a little more understanding of the world than the rest of us. So,
needs more Glib.
It needs less Glib. Glib could do his whole. Glib could do an entire show by himself about anything. That's scary. So he should have his own radio show. Glib is too much at times, but that's okay.
Glib in the radio.
Glib in the radio. Oh my God! Can you imagine how chilled out voice is, and then you combine it with Glib? That would not work. That would be like, what's going on? Who is this radio person not saying anything? Anyway, okay. So this was done. Let me check the date on this. This was done on May 2018. It has almost 50,000 views, and it's not good. I tried going through half of it. I had to stop and realize that I'm probably not the right person to go through. I'm sure Shiny will have proper arguments, but he does make some references to books. So then my eyes lit up. I'm like, oh, he did not just reference...
Which books?
Like at least 10 or 12 different authors. And I was like, okay.
Which ones, though? Like philosophy?
Science fiction.
EU? Star Wars?
Mostly science
Canon?
fiction. No, just science fiction in general. That's why my eyes lit up. I'm like, oh, I know those. So I might have to not write.
And politics.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get started. This will take some time.
To think that the political messaging, subtle, overt, and otherwise, or cultural commentary is something new in Star Wars is just wrong. It's always been there. Always. The fact that Disney acquired the franchise...
Okay, let's just start with that. Okay, so Episode 4, the first Star Wars movie, what was the political message or theme or even just the content of Star Wars? You had Rebels and you had the Empire. Pretty standard stuff. We got it.
If you look deep enough, like I've heard people say it represents the Vietnam War. If you look even deeper, people have said it represents the America's independence from the British Empire. So it's there are a lot of things which you could possibly draw. Some people have drawn the creation of the A-bomb to the Death Star.
Sure.
So
okay.
you can project anything you want onto the film. It doesn't make it inherently political. There's a difference. There's also a difference between making something political in terms of political propaganda, and also making it political in terms of in a way that's going to make it harm the writing. Because you can have social commentary on things, and I don't mind if you want to have feminist social commentary. Sure, by all means. But the problem is when it starts fucking up the writing because you have an insanely overpowered Mary Sue that has no facial expressions, then all of a sudden I start having a problem.
Also, you can have, a story with a political setting that doesn't have any political themes. You can have one as political theme. You can have so many different things, but specifically Star Wars, I think the main story is just about, Luke, the hero's journey, him. That's that. So the politics is a backdrop to enable that.
Yes, I think the setting and the identification of the villains and their scheme of whatever they wanted to do has always been secondary. It's always like, oh, the big, scary empire. They're just gigantic. You can't fathom how big they are. And they're making big, big weapons out of moons and all kinds of crazy stuff. You're like, oh, okay, we get it. There's really no political intrigue. There's no treaties being signed and destroyed and written over. You could talk about maybe the first three, episode 1 to 3, a little bit of that. Yeah, sure, there's definitely political elements. There's a little bit of political strife, I guess you can call it. But that's just the setup to get the ball going. So if the theme was that, I never got it from any of the Star Wars films of political control and vying for space or vying for territory or killing all the natives from our land we're taking over. I never got any of that. So I'm curious where he's going. This is what he's saying.
Honestly, at least in my conception of political, I can think of very, very few stories that have expressly political messages.
They would have to be period pieces or wartime pieces about those period pieces. So, yeah, it's because it's such a generic thing to say without describing what the politics are, unless there's like a story about the Queen and how she becomes the Queen and all the machinations they have to do. Like, what's the story with Gillian Anderson? She's the Prime Minister. I don't even remember her name. Jeez. I don't know.
I don't think I know that one.
UK politics, but Margaret Thatcher. She plays Margaret Thatcher. Right? So that would be arguably a very political story because you have her becoming the prime minister of a country. So that would make sense. And they would say, okay, yeah, this is a story about a prime minister. It makes perfect sense. So, yeah, I don't know.
As a short comment, I found that a lot of people these days call something political when it's in fact social commentary.
I think that's becoming intertwined.
Yeah,
there's no difference to them. They would not even consider it otherwise because their headspace is already in that world. So when you're talking about gay rights or mixed marriages or this or that, it's like, yep, it's the same topic. It's always someone not getting the rights and freedoms they deserve, or supposedly they think. So, all right. Hopefully he'll define it, but
different players were put in a leadership role doesn't mean that the messaging has changed or the quantity of messaging has increased. In fact, I think the cultural commentary and political...
I have no idea what he just said. The quantity and the quality of the message of politics has changed.
I think he meant to say that that the leadership changed, but in his opinion, the amount of political messaging and the core message itself didn't change.
Because I don't remember any political message at all from anything Star Wars. Shiny, is there any?
I think, okay, so let's look at this. We have a character of Rey. She's a Mary Sue. Why? What? Not in terms of what the attributes. We've already talked to death about the attributes that make her a Mary Sue. But why did they create those attributes? Because they wanted to have a really progressive female character. Now, what do they do when they want to make a really progressive female character? They go through a checklist. They can't ever be shown as weak. They can't be too emotional. They can't be this. They can't be that. They can't be the other. They can't do this. They can't fail. They can't blah, 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 blah. And we just keep listing off checklists until we end up with the most blandest, most overpowered piece of shit which you possibly get in media. And you can't say that that isn't politically motivated, because we obviously know the political motivations behind the people who are making Star Wars these days.
At least they appear to be that way from what we know.
I mean, you can very easily make a Mary Sue, just through talentless writing, or very amateur writing. Because again, you see it in a very common thing in fan fictions. But
yeah,
I think here fan fictions is usually due to something like a wish fulfillment. You want to imagine yourself, put yourself in a character, and then make them amazing, and everyone love them. Whereas with Rey, it seems to be more forced down to a specific route, because again, they had this checklist of what the protagonist could and couldn't be, and we ended up with Rey.
Okay, so that seems like an authorial intent to create a character a certain way, or maybe from high up to do this. We need a strong female character who's just amazing. And JJ went, okay, I'm going to do that. And he ran with it. So if that's it, I wouldn't even call that politics. I would just call that we want to have a strong female character for whatever reason.
What was the politics of the whole day special?
Oh, yeah.
It's that.
I mean, HelloGreedo. HelloGreedo. He only watched Clone Wars within the last, I think, 2 years or so, and he claimed it was more political, the most political thing in Star Wars.
Wait, what?
The Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the 3D animated TV show, is the most political Star Wars you're going to find, apparently.
I mean, there's one episode that has elements of Padme wanting to get through emotion or something like that.
There's the most political episode is in again, it depends on how you're defining it. Political in terms of progressive, pushing a progressive narrative, or political in terms of having world politics, or political in terms of having real world politics. I don't know. In terms of world politics, the most Clone Wars ever gets is something like, we need to stop the escalation of the war with more clones being ordered. We're in debt and stuff like that. That is the closest you're going to get. And then I don't know if you can project it, but onto, I don't know, real life war escalation. If you really want to, I'm sure you could do that.
Yeah, you could.
But in the end, it's all just. I don't think it's pushing political propaganda. That's the best way I can put it. It's very difficult to describe because there's so many elements that something could be political, and I think a lot of people who are against us misunderstand what we're saying about something being political. We're talking about specifically progressive messaging, which is ruining the writing.
I really like how LiteratureDevil says it's politicized. I really like that way of phrasing it, when something gets infused with politics from the real world instead of politics that are in universe.
Yeah, you get shown that. At least I get shown that in Toronto. We have our teachers' colleges that young people go to learn for 1 year how to instruct to their students, and they get taught to teach to all kinds of people of different varieties of backgrounds and dispositions, and they have to accept them all, as well as teach them about that acceptance, which is over the top because they go into the left-leaning literature. And this is what Jordan Peterson has argued for about 10 years ago, and what's been going on. These very politically motivated teachers who are teaching grade 9 math or grade 9 whatever, and they got to infuse it with stuff which should not belong, unfortunately. But that's, I think, not just Toronto. That's other metropolitan cities that have these sorts of teachers or teaching teachers how to properly instruct the kids. I don't know, but it seems innocent at first until you hear the reasoning behind it, and you're like, oh, that doesn't add up. Why are you doing that? Let math be
I
math.
think the difference is when it comes to storytelling, if you want to have politics in your story, it has to be infused into a narrative, into a way which is well written. If you want to make an episode of Star Trek on the prison system and what else, the death penalty, you know what, you can actually do that, because there are many times Star Trek has done that. There's an episode in Voyager which does go into, like, they have prisoners on their ship from a ship they rescued, and they've got to hold them for a while, and one of the prisoners is like very violent, but then he changes and reforms because of an accidental fix, because they inject nanoprobes into him to save his life, but the nanoprobes accidentally fix his brain because he had a mental condition, which meant he didn't have any empathy, which meant that all of a sudden now he feels horrific about everything he's done. Even though he's changed, even that he appeals to have his death penalty removed, but they still go forward anyway. And the episode does pretty well handling the ideas of a prison system, specifically taking influence from the American prison system. But it's done well, and it doesn't force any kind of, this is bad down your throat. It's infused into the narrative, and it's perfectly fine and well written. Ray, on the other hand, is not infused into the narrative, and it's horribly written. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
I think, for me personally, a general rule is a well-written story lets you decide by yourself if something was morally good or bad.
The problem with this term is either we're trying to thread the needle and say, okay, this is what they mean by political, or the argument becomes everything's political, it's ubiquitous, and if that's the point, then why are you bringing it up? Like, who cares then? If everything's always to you a political struggle between classes or peoples or whatever, what's the point?
It always confuses me so much because my concept of something being political is so completely different.
Yeah, I know, but that's why we need these people like HelloGreedo to define his terms, as opposed to, oh, you all think like me, here's another video you guys want to eat up. It's like, no.
You're about to come and eat it up.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, let's keep going.
One of the things I have noticed, like, at least from my own channel, so I'm sorry, I'm extending this.
That's all right.
I'll keep going. We'll let you know the video.
This is Andrew Clark's super chat from a while back. Wag the Dog was a political movie. Yeah, I never saw it, actually, but it was contemporary at the time. So that is interesting, because usually when you have science fiction, you tell something that is in a far-off alien world, and you could play around with whatever themes you like. That's what's great about science fiction. With contemporary stuff, there's all sorts of political, like Newsroom, and even you could argue, what was that famous one? Well, it doesn't really matter. You could argue that all these things have a specific purpose for the time they were created, and then they're done, and then that's that. We go on to the next story, or drama, or whatever the show and story is supposed to be. So I've never really seen it's just not my interest. Maybe they're out there, a politically focused theme or narrative in a series or book or this or that. So that's why it's hard for me to grasp. Anyway, let's just keep going.
Messaging found Star Wars films now is way less than it was during the prequels or the Clone Wars cartoon. When George Lucas was asked if the Emperor was a Jedi in 1981, Lucas said, quote, "No, he was a politician. Richard M. Nixon was his name. He subverted the Senate, finally took over and became an imperial guy, and he was really evil, but he pretended to be a really nice guy."
Okay,
What?
so funny, but completely irrelevant. I don't care what George Lucas thinks. I care what he made.
Thing is, you can look after and project certain politics onto something, but in how do I word this? You need to look at the media itself and what the media itself is saying. I can after a video say anything I want to about the video, or this video is about the need for social progressivism, and it's like, okay, well, I've just watched the video and there's nothing in there about social progressivism, so it's like, okay, and this is all just projection, really. I think it's just after the fact.
I don't really care.
Also, just as a
I don't really care what George Lucas thinks.
Sorry. As a short thing, also, one thing I find sometimes interesting to look at is that depending on which country or which place of the world you look at a film or people watch a film, they may take something completely different out of it than in the American context, which I think Greedo is American. Which I also find interesting. Which I sometimes also find interesting to see because, like, when I talk people who live here, like family and friends and everything, and talking about political stuff, it's completely different because we have different politics. To some extent, at least. And so I always find that interesting to keep in mind, at least a little bit.
Anyway.
Close quote. Oh, I bet if the internet was around back in 1981, there would be a big old hashtag boycott. Quote, it was really about the Vietnam War, and that was the period where Nixon was trying to run for a second term, which got me to thinking historically about how democracies get turned into dictatorships. Because the democracies aren't overthrown, they're given away, close quote. In the 2004 re-release of Return of the Jedi, Lucas said that the Ewoks were inspired by the Viet Cong, who were able to defeat a technologically...
Well, they could have been inspired by anything. That doesn't mean they are that thing.
Yeah, I would agree there. You can be inspired by a lot of things.
This is just like, dude, why are you referencing George Lucas? Like, what's the point? What are we learning from this?
You'd have to... Again, okay, so we have Ewoks, and we have the Viet Cong. The Viet Cong and the Ewoks are fighting against a technological superior force. Yes. So, what? You need more... I wouldn't count that as political, really, because it's something which you can watch and not even draw a comparison between. And the comparison is very vague. Okay, if you're...
It's guerrilla tactics.
There are so many fictions and real world examples you can pull of guerrilla tactics that you could compare it to a hell of a lot of things, which makes it incredibly vague. But then if you're talking about modern Star Wars media, which constantly forces politics down your throat, and it constantly, damages the writing all the time to make Rey an overpowered Mary Sue, then that's a problem. That is political. That's politicizing your media. I would say this is an inspiration, not like, if anything. And again, it could all just be George Lucas putting it in post, again, projecting it after the fact, making after the fact comparisons.
Or what he was inspired by, but that does not translate to whatever's on the screen because the Ewoks are a bunch of unintelligible teddy bears.
Unless you're trying to say the Viet Cong are teddy bears.
Killer teddy bears with spears and sticks.
I mean, you won't get me defending the fucking Ewoks because they are fucking stupid. Again, it would have made more sense in the original script, like when they had it was going to be Kashyyyk and the Wookiees.
Yeah, but
that would have made a lot more fucking sense.
Who in their right mind watches episode 6 and goes, oh yeah, Viet Cong, totally. That's totally what I was thinking too.
I was getting Vietnam flashbacks while watching the film.
Some war veteran comes back from Vietnam like the year later. Star Wars comes out. He's like, oh!
Where's the South Vietnamese? It wasn't just the Americans, if the Americans are the Empire.
Oh god, we got into second level here. We're not going to call George Lucas racist because he made the Viet Cong look like barbarians who just use sticks and stones.
Oh boy.
In the prequels, Man Oh Man, Lucas was never subtle, telling columnist Maureen Dowd that, quote, Anakin Skywalker is a promising young man who is turned to the dark side by an older politician.
I don't care if he thinks they're bananas and oranges. I don't care. George Bush is Darth Vader. Good for George. I don't care.
Becomes Darth Vader. George Bush is Darth Vader. Cheney is the Emperor, close quote. The parallels between the speeches in Revenge of the Sith, especially, and speeches given at the time by leading government officials are staggeringly similar. George Lucas
such as?
No, okay, I'll ask. Yeah, I'd ask for evidence here.
Please continue with this line of reasoning. No. I'm going to change topics. All right, that's great.
I want to point out that stormtroopers and clone troopers are not related. I am not associated with this man.
This politician sounds like a politician in this movie. It's like, which, who, when, where? What are you talking about?
Or when Palpatine says, "I love democracy."
What is this guy trying to
I
tell
love
us?
democracy.
Who cares even if they were like one-to-one like sentences or speeches that they wrote? It's like, and what's your point? Is it a satire? Are you attacking the fact that a leader? Like, what is it?
The only thing that I will say is that I think generally becomes at the point where you start actually putting likenesses of politicians as the bad guy in your stories, it starts to become distracting. But that's even then, the story might not be political.
I can't think of one likeness to one politician from the 70s and 80s that, oh yeah, Darth Vader right there. So,
Yeah, same. I was like, wait, what?
I don't. And this is like talking about a movie he did in the 70s and referencing a comment in the 90s about.
No, this was the prequel trilogy now, I think.
Oh, he's talking about the son, meaning Anakin, or sorry, the father being Anakin, and thus that's Darth Vader.
Prequel trilogy, Anakin being pulled to the dark side by a politician. So Palpatine and will be Bush who pulls Cheney too.
If George actually had some writing talent or knew what the hell he was doing, or the editors helped him along, or whatever the writing process was, for that even to connect, sorry, it does not make any. The whole plot of Anakin turning to the dark side is dumb. It's stupid. It makes very little sense.
I have the power to save save the one you love. It's like and we can figure it out together. Wait, a second ago you said you had the power. So oh shit, I said that, didn't I? And then he's like, oh well, I guess this guy just lied to me, and now he's telling me to go and kill children. So I guess I'm just gonna go and kill children because I'm evil now.
I mean, wouldn't you take any opportunity to kill children? No, but also, even if George Lucas really intentionally wanted to make a political story, it just didn't end up as a political story. I'm sorry.
I want to kill my wife. No, I want to save my wife by killing these kids. It's like, what? Really? How does this help again? How does that work?
The blood of the youth will resurrect.
Oh, dear.
The blood of the child will wash away the sin.
I just saw a Jedi Master get launched out of a window. Yeah, that's fine. Don't tell anyone.
I wonder what happened. Like, there must have been people like outside. It's like they're just like casually walking along, and all of a sudden Mace Windu's body just goes flop right in front of them.
Yeah, the Clone Wars really subverted that whole falling to the ground thing as a Jedi.
God, yeah.
It's like, oh, you can just stop yourself from falling, and then just you're 2 feet from the ground. Oh, that's handy.
Well, you just force push on the ground, and then it pushes you up and causes resistance, so you don't go squish.
all your muscles and organs at terminal
it's
velocity.
It's like the force jump you see in.
There will still be a drastic change in velocity.
in Empire, where you use the force on the ground, it pushes you up, and that's the force jump that you see Luke do.
It's always bothered me, but yeah, if they can do it in other media, it's like why couldn't they just? It's not like an impossible thing. Like you're manipulating your mass, or you're manipulating your speed, which is telekinesis. So it's like, all right, yeah, you could do it to yourself. Why not? It's like, no, you're gonna die. Which always freaked me the hell out. Why these guys are so sensitive about predicting the future when Anakin's jumping out of cars? Like, dude, that's like 2,000 stories. What are you doing? No problem. I'll catch a car.
What happens if he accidentally misses like the next car? It's like, oh shit, oops.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh well, there will be another corpse to clean up from the bottom.
Even if he were to hit something, it'd be like really, really hard and fast. Like you'd break a few bones at least, but apparently not. Anyway, he's a Jedi. It all makes sense. Unless you get your arm lopped off, then you're dead.
Hmm.
Politics were and are well known. never shying away from giving his own opinion. If you
sure,
think
he can have
film...
a political opinion. We're not saying he can't have a political opinion. I don't think any of us are saying he can't have a personal political opinion.
George Lucas,
Are any of us saying that he can't have a political opinion?
a self-made millionaire in the 80s and 90s, and they're going to ask him a few questions. He might have a few ideas on the topic.
Yeah, probably.
Oh boy.
Book, game, piece, anything is not going to be influenced by their life experience and events that take place in the world around them at the time.
No one's saying that, you knob. Have you been influenced by your life and you're trying to make art? What do you mean you're not influenced by life? It's like, no one's saying that.
I couldn't think of a bigger waste of time than debating art. Fuck off.
And here he is. His entire channel is dedicated to Star Wars.
I just find it so funny. These people act as if all these influences from your life are put one-to-one into the story that you're writing.
I know. It has to be political. It's always political. Oh. I once voted in an election. Oh my God, it's political. Write about it. Oh, okay.
If I write if I was to write a story right now in a science fiction world, the story wouldn't be about, dissing social justice and taking the piss out of how stupid it is. I'll be like, oh, let's have a fun, action-packed adventure. Let's go. Surely, it would be informed with what I know. Yes, but it wouldn't have all my politics just in there.
I actually wish that Star Wars had more depth than the standard space opera, so you could say, oh yeah, there is totally a political layer that is underlying all the behaviors of peoples and their actions and why they think a certain way and have certain cultural differences and norms and whatever. So yeah, that'd be great. It's not really prevalent. It's just everyone can speak the language.
This is all either a huge straw man from HelloGreedo or he legitimately does not understand what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah. But to me, how it usually goes, at least for me, it's like something happens or something goes on in my life, and then I think about that when it happened. Sometimes you think back on things, and then I think, how would I weave that in an interesting way in a story, or how could that be interesting in a story? And then you think about it more and more, and in the end, you end up with something that is just kind of baseline similar, but just looks very, very different in the end.
I wonder if he's drinking a Diet Coke like Trump. I wonder if he has like a button that he presses to summon a Diet Coke.
He seems to be confusing the idea of something being political in terms of putting Trump into something. You know what I mean? Like, where it's like the comic books which have had Trump as literally the antagonist, or I don't know, just anything which is trying to put like the straight white male in the enemy role, and he's horrible, he's racist or sexist, blah 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 blah. That kind of political. But there are other political ways you can, make politics influence your story. And again, we talked earlier about how you end up with a character like Rey because you have so many checkboxes that by the end of it, these checkboxes aren't designed on what would make a good character. It's designed on what makes a progressive character. And funnily enough, it's very difficult to make a well-written character that can never have any weaknesses, can never, lose, can never do this, that, and the other, has to always be strong and independent, can never rely on anyone else.
It would be great if we could argue that the reason why Rey was created was not because of JJ being a horrible writer. It's like, no, he had an agenda, or someone had an agenda that they were pushing. We could clearly see it. But
I think that there are lines by J.J. Abrams talking about the Force Awakens, about his motivations behind the film. Like, I think, for instance, he said that he wanted to cast an all-Asian cast or something like that because there weren't enough Asians in Star Wars. He's also said things that he wanted a diverse cast because he hated how many white people were at the Emmys, and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go check that out.
Also, this might just me being weird, but I would love to see him try drink that while keeping the helmet on.
Look, it's the way I drink with my helmet on is I have a very nice bendy straw.
Didn't he have a coffee mug in the other shot?
I think so.
Let me just rewind a bit. Yeah, it's right there. What?
It's weird when it keeps jumping between shots, and it's like he's just going from location to location to location.
In his house.
Yeah, I just also want to say it's just so weird shots. It's like, oh well, let's use my living room, I guess.
At different times of the day.
Can't you? I mean, HelloGreedo, can you have a set? I must have seen you with at least one set before that you use.
Maybe his wife is like nagging him. He's like, "Honey, stop with the Star Wars. Time to make the bed."
No, just once you look at the apartment, literally everything that is not in view of the camera shots is just absolutely messy and filled with...
Now, what's really triggering me most is that he's not even following the rule of thirds. Like, he is far too high in the shot. His eyes are not in the rule of thirds at all. It looks horrible.
All right, let's get back. Whoa, what did I jump into? Oh, boy.
Jesus.
That's a jump forwards, not jumping back.
There we go.
I mean, we were forward before.
Sorry. Oh, yeah, hopefully we're on the same track as before. I can't remember what he said. Here we go. Let's go.
Take place in the world around them at the time. That's crazy. Maybe you've never made anything before? I don't know. Over the past few years...
This guy is just on his one track. Let's think of the dumbest idea. You're never inspired by stuff. That's impossible. Why would you think that? Like,
that is certainly a straw man.
Thank you, HelloGreedo. No one thinks that. Let's continue.
Years, the Star Wars YouTube community has slowly but surely started to look more and more like the National Enquirer.
Okay, I don't really know what he's talking about because I don't...
Show which ones, please?
Yeah.
Which YouTubers specifically?
Maybe there are. I don't know.
The one thing I will say is that the Quartrix thumbnails kind of remind me of this, but...
I would also say that... I'll try to remember the name of it now. What's the fucking name? Keemstar, is that it? Keemstar Drama Alert, where he's talking about like something's happening in the DMs. Got to talk about this has happened between PewDiePie and this person. Like is like the gossip drama shit between celebrities, quotation marks. That thing.
I think that's that.
Like, sure, if you want to say he's like that, by all means.
I think we can say what's his name? You
can't say that this is YouTube in general, because a vast majority of YouTubers in the community I see, Xcardalada, I can't even say his name properly. He just talks about Star Wars. So does so many other Star Wars YouTubers. If you want to go to the Fandom Menace, they just report on the fucking news. It's not gossip or drama.
Yeah.
It's like, they're gonna include this X, Y, and Z character in the next Star Wars comic, and then they just report on that.
I think
it's not exactly the National Enquirer.
The one that gets probably the most flack is Doomcock, just because he has a lot of theory videos from his sources or whatever. So. But that's fine.
Sources, quotation marks.
Yeah, but that's fine. Like, who cares? Like, that's not a big deal. Like, no one takes those too seriously anyway. We just like listen, like, oh, that's interesting. I've never heard about that. Maybe it'll happen. Sometimes it does, which is interesting. So, and it's not like every day he has a theory. So it's not a big deal.
Seems like almost every day.
Oh yeah? I haven't paid attention, so I don't know.
The rise of manufactured outrage, fake leaks, clickbait, made-up nonsense, scapegoating. The parallels between what the Star Wars YouTube community is starting to look like and the National Enquirer is hilarious.
Okay, if you're not... So, let me think. There's a reason why there's a difference between the content themselves and how they make it look aesthetically. Because, using colors like yellow and using pretty pictures like this and using big capital letters, you know what? That is what's very good at attracting attention. That's the reason why they do those things. And then you know what a thumbnail has to do? It has to attract an audience. So what will they do? They'll put it in caps. They'll use colors which stick out against other, YouTube videos. It's just the way it is. You've got to there's aesthetic lessons you can learn from other media. But then again, what we're actually talking about here is not the aesthetics of how they are presenting it. It is what they're actually presenting themselves. And if you're going to what they're presenting themselves, like what they're actually saying, I don't think this is anything like the Inquirer.
Even the covers, the thumbnails, it's depressing. Are some of the folks who are upset nowadays about modern stuff?
Yeah, so he didn't actually reference videos. He just says, "Hey, they look similar." It's like, please, can you actually show us? I'm sure there's some egregious examples out there, but you can't.
Definitely. I mean, you can find many.
There's a guy called Star Wars Comics, which is actually on your side, HelloGreedo, who does abysmal clickbait. It is absolutely insane because he will go on about any shit he found in a comic, and it'll have the time Jar Jar Binks saw Padme naked, and in the entire comic, there won't be a single moment which Padme is naked and Jar Jar Binks sees her naked. The closest evidence you get is that in one shot, Padme has an outfit, they cut outside the ship and they land, and then Padme is walking into the room in a different outfit, which suggests that she left the room, got changed, and came back. Not that she got changed in front of fucking Jar Jar. So, yes, there you go. There's evidence of a YouTuber which is on your side, which does this abysmal clickbait and also has absolutely terrible content.
I mean, he also does very horrible content.
Yeah.
And isn't he also kind of a drama whoring right now?
Right. HelloGreedo.
If anyone writes a book,
HelloGreedo's always been a bit of a drama whore.
Oh God! If anyone writes a book about themselves and puts it on Amazon as buy my book and learn about me by reading, it's like it's a $20 book, dude. Get a life. You're a rando who's a Star Wars fan. That's all you are. I don't want to hear about your university time. Like, no, who cares? Like, what? You're not some great philosopher. You didn't learn some new theory about life. You're just a guy. It's like, I want to read about, what's that book by Movie Bob? I can't remember. It's like, why would I ever read that?
Because it's just a grim fascination. Isn't that the psychological phenomenon called when people are super into dark stuff or horror stuff, the grim fascination?
It's so creepy. I must read it. It's amazingly creepy. HelloGreedo's creeping me out. Why does he wear a mask all the time? I don't get it. Let's learn about his life history. Why? Give me a book that helps me in some way. Be a better writer. Be a better understander of criticism or science fiction. Like an anthology of books, or that would be great. Like, give me a series of books I should read. Like a list. I'll be like, I'll read these great books in science fiction. Then you'll appreciate Star Wars more. Like, maybe, yeah, sure.
Smart Movie Bob's book will help you if you need to start a fire.
In my soul.
It's extra flammable. It's got all the extra... Look, Movie Bob packed it himself, which means it's got all the grease from his greasy fingers, which is absolutely excellent to make it more flammable.
Star Wars too young to recognize the political overtones and commentary when they watch the previous films? I mean, that could be, right?
Political overtones. All right. Let's hear some of those.
That's a pretty good guess. Just because you didn't recognize it when you were cheering for the Ewoks as a kid doesn't mean the political messaging wasn't being recognized.
What was the political message of the Ewoks, sir?
He goes to the Viet Cong with that.
So is he aware that you can, go back to a film, look at it, and say, no, I was right as a kid. There's no politics in there.
I wouldn't even think that in terms of, if you're trying to project real world events and things like, I don't know, Trump or immigrants or any kind of contentious political issue right now, I don't think there's anything which you can draw to that specifically within the Star Wars sequel trilogy. But in terms of the way it's political is when you look at it specifically through how the feminist lens has been causing them to write female characters. And again, you look at how they have written characters like Rey, and you start to see the issues which have come up, because they can't have Rey be weak at all. They can't have Rey do this, do that, do the other. As I said before, they can't have Rey be weak. That's the reason why she wins against Kylo Ren in the first film, because they can't have her lose, because that wouldn't be progressive. And that is the problem. We're not saying that there is a Trump message or an immigration message or a racial imbalance message or whatever the fuck they like to push these days. We're saying that there is a motivation behind Star Wars which is making it diverse, and in terms of how they are writing minority characters and how they are writing female characters. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to the writing, these diverse characters are not well written, and they are abysmal. They are abysmal examples of female characters. There are so many examples of absolutely brilliant, diverse characters you can go to. Cisco is fucking fantastic. So is I think of a female character.
Leia?
I want to go Leia. Leia is well written. There you go. There are so many characters of different races, genders, sexualities, which have been written fantastically well. And then what do you get? You get Rey. You get Finn. Finn, who they made a joke, and a janitor. He is shit. He has no purpose in any of the films. But why is he there? To tick a box. Why is Rey there? And why is Rey doing the things she's doing? To tick boxes. And that is an issue in the writing.
Just as a thing, maybe that's just very personal to me, but I always found it slightly weird how there was so diverse galaxy with so many different aliens and everything, and the cast is almost always human except for Chewie and the robot.
I could understand the cast being human because of the limitations, because it's much more difficult to project emotions and understand emotions from an alien. Like, for example, a Duros.
I mean,
but you have difficult
like
to
Twi'lek,
empathize with.
Twi'lek or the very humanoid ones. I just find that a bit weird, and I get it very much with the old ones. It was much more difficult to do that, but nowadays I just find it kind of weird. Maybe it's just because I would like to see more blue alien characters, because it could be fun.
Need more blue ass.
Yeah. Also, just as a fun thing, aren't Twi'lek like a slave race in the law?
They are.
They are heavily enslaved, but they are not a slave. It depends, because they're not all slaved. They're very popular slaves.
But if you wanted to make a super progressive message about slavery and shit like that, you could use that, and you could use stuff that exists to put your message in. But
no. But do you think they would write that well?
Well, no, but at least it would mean they tried to make something that fits in the world.
But again, we're not even talking in a sequel trilogy. We're not talking about them trying to make a message of slavery. It's the reason behind why they have made things like diversity. And again, the problem is that they have the end result is characters which are absolutely shit and horribly written, and I've explained several times why that's shit and horribly written. And then there's far better examples of diverse characters.
The adults, or even by government officials at the time, because it was. I'm watching the Clone Wars right now. I'm probably almost halfway done with the series, and I can't believe that people are complaining about the super subtle messaging in the new films, yet they never complained about the messaging in the Clone Wars, because the Clone Wars is way more on the nose than anything in the new movies. I didn't like Canto Bite either. I didn't like the Canto.
Okay, so
actually no, I'll take it back. This is the one case they actually did have a capitalism bad. There you go.
Oh yeah, right.
So I completely forgot about Canto Bite.
Trying to compare.
I didn't see that guy with in a hoodie in the movie.
Yeah. Lots of weird, cool-looking guys in Canto Bite.
This all looks fucking horrific.
Yes, it does.
It's like, what are these people? What Frankenstein monster is that?
How do we
Tibet,
understand you?
and I don't know. We got, it looks like Elizabethan, and then you got like Asian influence, and then like throw a giant hat on this person, and here's an alien.
It looks so stupid. God damn you for making me remember fucking Canto Bite. God damn it.
So,
honestly, looking just at this picture, nothing about this says Star Wars, and it just says very weird, almost weird modern painting.
when you're talking about the fashion sense of people who are of a certain class, like rich or poor, and they're alien, you have no idea what this is supposed to represent. Is this like, are they a group of people? Are they like in charge of a business? Like, what do they? Is this fashionable? Is it business
all
attire?
War profiteers. No one has possibly made money on literally anything else. They're all just war profiteers, apparently.
And even if that is the case,
people make money by selling stuff to rich people, like the people that make like private jets or sell private jets.
Yeah,
they make money from selling to rich people, and they make a lot of money off that. So that's not war profiteering, selling private jets.
Even if all these
but yet you make a lot of money off of it.
Even if all these people made nuclear bombs, I'd be like, and your point is? They
handcrafted a nuclear bomb.
It's like
each and every one of them.
One of them does really, really small nuclear bombs. The other does really, really big. It's like, wow, they're making money. People are spending money, like crazy amounts of money to get these bombs. And you're like, all right, and it's like we have reasons. We have all these wonderful political philosophy on war. It's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. In order to have peace, you got to prepare when things are going to go turn south. So this has been an ongoing thing since ancient Roman times, and I don't have the phrase on the tip of my tongue, but you have to figure these stuff out. There's nothing wrong with building defensive measures or offensive measures or vehicles for war or bullets or guns or bombs or this or there's nothing wrong with them.
No war profiteering bad, Smud.
Yeah, but if America just went, hey,
bad.
You know what? We're going to stop bombing the world. We're going to take away all these contracts and whatever. It's like, fine. Yeah, America would do that. And then there would be this giant vacuum and a lot of other wars would start. And maybe that's a good thing for the world. I don't know. But they can do that because they have that authority. They have the money. They have the resources. They have the contracts. And that's a business. And some people have demand and some people don't. So it's an ongoing, changing thing. And peace is not something you just sit around and agree with. It's because if you cross that line, all hell is coming at you. And we know the danger of that. So there is a need for people to make weapons and defenses and all these other things. And it's not all weapons. These days it's all spying. It's all in clandestine stuff you never hear about because it's so secret. So anyway, people argue this is bad to spend all this money. I agree. The state should not be spending all that money, but if they don't, someone else will. And there'll be a power vacuum somewhere.
National debt getting ever and ever higher.
Yeah. That's an ongoing problem.
I mean, it wasn't that kind of an inevitability. It's in some weird way. Hasn't it been growing? Well, I mean, it's been getting exponential.
Yeah, it's been getting bigger and bigger for a long ass fucking time.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the count in America, but I know Canadians' debt just passed $1 trillion Canadian bucks.
I haven't even been passing I haven't been counting Britain's debt.
Oh God, it's scary.
I have no idea how much debt we're in.
I just hope that one day that we'll realize that the biggest problem to our freedoms and our way of life is debt, and we're going to find out in the worst possible way, unfortunately. So, free enterprise with making bombs, good. Debt, very, very bad. But let's not talk about economics. Let's get back to why HelloGreedo dislikes Canto Bite.
Byte sequence, but I didn't have a problem with the messaging. Really? You're gonna have a problem with animals? All right. So why are...
No, but it is fucking retarded and bizarre. So just releasing captured animals is incredibly dumb because they are domesticated. They're not wild. Do you know what happens when you let domesticated animals into the wild? They tend to not do very well. We don't even know if this planet is their natural climate. And you also know something? They left the fucking slave children behind, and they freed the animals.
So let's look.
You're starting to see how fucking dumb this whole political messaging thing is, because it doesn't even make sense in the story.
So let's go through this, the actual points he brought up here. So war profiteering, that was a message brought up by, I think, DJ. He was teaching this lesson to Finn, and that's fine, but it didn't really amount to anything. It was just like a thing that DJ is going to come in and say, and it's like, okay, but that was that. There was no point. It was as if Ryan just wanted to tell the audience, hey, war is bad. You're like, okay, this is Star Wars, guys. I mean, what do you want from us? We're telling a story about war. No kidding. Greed, I don't see how that's bad. People making money and profiting from crazy evil empires who want bombs and shit. Tyranny, I don't know the tyranny of Canto Bight. Who is tyrannical in Canto Bight?
I guess the people owning the slaves.
I guess, but we just had them scare children, and that was about it. Torture, were they torturing kids or were they torturing the animals?
I guess animals.
Was it implied torture?
Also, in what way are these expressively political topics?
I think he might be just talking about in general. With specifically war profiteering being more political than others, or tyranny being political, but I just want to know where.
Though, you look at, and like he says, this has been addressed in many times throughout Star Wars. War profiteering. The only time I can think of is Clone Wars. Clone Wars had the Trade Federation, the banking clan, and another one conspiring to keeping the war going. They were conspiring to keep the war going with the enemy.
Wasn't it also the Kaminoans? Because
that's in a different episode where the Kaminoans are trying to. The Kaminoans are technically working with Count Dooku, but the Senate and the government itself were not working with Count Kamino. Were not working with, Count Dooku to keep the war going. They just wanted more money because again, they wanted to keep the war going for profit, essentially.
I mean, yeah, they produced the fucking soldiers.
Yeah. So look, if you want more arms and clones, then you can come to us and we'll buy them and make them.
The idea is that war profiteering is the negative connotation of selling munitions to people who want them, but it's a negative term because it seems to be like what they're making is unreasonable. So they're offering or they're asking for too much money or whatever. But we don't really see that with Canto Bight. We just see a lavish casino. We're like, okay, it's a lavish casino. Are there specific war profiteers that are demanding extreme amounts of money or whatever, or there are tyrannical in their nature? We don't see that. We see a bunch of no-name people in not even business what is that? Leisure wear? I don't know what outfits they're wearing. It's obviously very formal, and we're implying they're rich. Aside from just a bunch of people going out to having a good time at a casino, is this wrong?
I mean, this is all just it's a huge straw man. Again, the only time we have war profiteering, it makes sense in the fucking story. Like the people themselves are not good people. In this, all we know is, the only business can get you this rich is war profiteering, which was fucking stupid because there are many businesses which get you rich. The richest people in the world right now don't sell weapons. Funny thing. But anyway, there's a difference between Clone Wars because Clone Wars worked and it makes sense. It did not work in TLJ because it was fucking stupid, and they never really elaborated on it. They never said why these raw profiteers deserved anything other than that they were just evil for the sake of being evil, I guess. And they kept slave kids.
Okay, let's try to keep going here. Freedom, I guess he's referring to slavery, which then translates to rights. So those are pretty much the same term. Confederacy, I don't know where that comes from. Is Canto Bight part of a confederacy?
Nope.
It's
just a rich planet. That's all it is.
Who's the group or groups?
Why confederacy? What?
Well, usually you're talking about before the formation of a country, you have a bunch of city-states or a bunch of tribes that come together. So I don't know if a trade confederacy. I don't really know.
To this day, we are kind of
confederacy,
considered a confederation.
Yeah, I just what is he talking about? So anyway, let's just keep going. Corruption of what? Who's corrupt?
Government, I guess.
Which government?
Which government?
The Republic?
How?
I don't know. If you want to talk about Clone Wars, then yes, they do present there being corruption in the government. But in TLJ, no.
Okay.
Again, this is all just... This has to be HelloGreedo not understanding or just creating huge straw men.
So then he says, etc., have been addressed so many times throughout the franchise. Well, he's not talking specifically about Canto, but he's talking about just all these elements have been in the series, and you're like, wait, you can't just say, yes, Star Wars has many themes, therefore we're aware of them. It's like, no. Canto Bight, you're the one you have problems with, has these issues, but they don't have anything to do with anything. DJ just talks about it. Rose just brings it up. She doesn't like war profiteers. And you're like, I don't care what Rose thinks. That has nothing to do with anything.
I just love his way of argumenting and saying, oh, why be mad about it now? Just noticing it was always there. Continue. I'm like, wait, what? How was it always there? Where was it?
That's
Show me. Nope.
We've got another 7 minutes. Maybe he'll explain himself.
That's
I highly doubt it.
That's like Luke coming on the screen and saying, rape. And then the next scene just ends. And you're just like, what was that about? He just said a word that's bad that no one likes. And you're like, okay. You could say that about anything. You're like, corruption. You're like, what? It has no connection to the plot, no connection to characters, nothing. The only thing it might remotely be connected to was Rose's backstory with her sister, how they came from a planet where there were a bunch of other profiteers, I think, and they were exploiting people for, I don't know, whatever reason. You're like, oh, okay, you had a bad experience. All right. Should we care about you? Does that do anything for the plot? No. Her entire plot line with Finn goes nowhere. There's no point to it. That's the problem with Canto Bight, not all these other random bullshit things that he cares about that are...
Can we keep going with the video? I want this headache to be over as quick as possible.
Andrew Clark, the full context we got for Canto Bight is from a girl who is known for misunderstanding people's motives and a liar criminal. It might be a good place. Yeah, I know they're great authorities on those topics. Fantastic.
There's so many
message
now.
Coming in.
I don't know. What is science fiction? Science fiction is a way to comment on modern culture through the abstract. That is what...
Okay.
Comment on modern culture through the abstract.
Let's try this again. Crazy philosopher, what is science fiction? What do you think it is?
Well, I mean, you can have social commentary science fiction, which is more the lines of something like Star Trek.
Well, you could have any story.
I don't think all science fiction is based on taking something abstract in the modern day and then, taking something from the modern day and making it abstract. I don't think that's it at all.
There's a very clear definition of science fiction as a genre. So I'm like, what is he talking about? The abstract? What is the abstract? If you guys want the actual definition, it's very straightforward. Let me just bring it up. Here it is. Let me just zoom in here. Okay, so science fiction is a genre of speculative fiction that typically deals with imaginative and futuristic concepts. That's it. It's not some abstract. In fact, if it is abstract, that would be a little hard to grasp. You can address things that are fantastical in the scientific realm or the engineering realm, but you still have to wrap your brain around it. It's not abstract. It's actually quite concrete, as opposed to magic, which is supposed to be fantastical and magical and not concrete. Unless you have a concrete magic system, then it would be non-abstract. So no, you don't have to use science fiction to talk about contemporary settings or contemporary issues. You can, but...
I hope you don't mind if I just, I don't know, play KOTOR while this is happening, right?
The thing is, with science fiction, you're allowed to do so much. Why would you waste your time talking about the contemporary settings or contemporary issues when you could do something much more crazy and diverse and fun? And that's where you get all these like mind-swapping plots and aliens coming to do crazy things to other people and infect their minds with their alien babies or whatever. Like all these crazy ideas that has nothing to do with contemporary issues. It boggles the mind. First off, it takes 2 seconds to do a Google search on science fiction, and voila, here we go. So, yes, you can use it to tell boring stories about the current world, but I don't remember those stories very well because they suck. Anyway, let's keep going.
Science fiction. Commentary about today, told in an unfamiliar setting. Star Trek, Blade Runner, 2001: A Space Odyssey, District 9, E.T., The Matrix, Minority Report, Gattaca, Mad Max, Starship Troopers, Dune, Fahrenheit 451, The Foundation Trilogy, Rendezvous with Rama, Elysium, even Wizard of Oz. All meaningful, relevant, and timeless sci-fi.
Is Wizard of Oz sci-fi?
The Wizard of Oz is not sci-fi. I'm sorry to say, sir.
Wizard of Oz, the best sci-fi.
What?
He just listed like 12 different stories. I'm like, stop.
Yeah, but also, I will always go back to this one. Maybe, those stories just talk about human universals. Just maybe.
You can tell any story in any setting that doesn't make it sci-fi or...
Is mayonnaise a science fiction?
I mean, just generally as a theme, as a base thing, I don't think most stories are kind of intended to address certain thing. It's just like what somebody finds interesting or anything, and then try to make a story out of that, and then develops further from there. I don't know. This video is breaking my mind.
He says stuff and like, oh yeah, these are stories. You're like, yep. We're talking about the genre of science fiction, sir. Can you focus on the argument there? What first define it, which you did, which is wrong, which probably makes sense because now he's talking about the Wizard of Oz. So, I don't know. Glib, can you help us out here?
The magical wizard of Trump, la di da di da.
Yeah, this is killing us.
The Wizard of Oz is my favorite science fiction, Glib.
The Tin Man is so advanced.
That's the best isekai that the West ever did.
Ooh,
yeah, it's amazing.
Is it
historical fiction?
Yeah.
A fantastic song came out of it. Several ones.
I disagree. You should burn all the books.
That's like your opinion, Glib.
So what did I miss? What's going on?
Oh god,
Star Wars
a
and
bunch
politics?
of strawmen, and other things.
Why is his security system open? I don't know.
Maybe he keeps it like that. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh, I didn't even know that was a security system.
Okay, so chat, what did I miss? What's going on? How?
Again, he's barely said anything in the last 3 minutes other than just nonsense. Verbal diarrhea.
He doesn't like Canto Bite because... Wait, did he even say why?
No.
No, he brought up Canto Bite and then said any theme which has been in the Canto Bite has been in other Star Wars, like war profiteering. and then he's missing the context of why Canto Bight makes no sense and is horribly written. And then he didn't even bring up any example. He just says it is. He just says Star Wars has had politics in the past, and he doesn't ever bring up any examples.
I can't remember when war profiteering was in Star Wars, aside from that Rose speech in episode 8.
So to put it succinctly, he's saying stop complaining about politics being Star Wars. In Star Wars, it has always been there, and basically that's all he has said. He's not giving any examples.
Understanding and straw manning. So he's thinking politics in terms of putting Trump in as your main antagonist, or a white supremacist as your main antagonist. When it comes to Star Wars, it's more about the problem of diversity. And they keep making absolutely horrific, diverse characters and they're horribly written and very bad examples of diverse characters. And there's a billion better examples of women or black characters you can go to.
So he used some quotes by George Lucas that were saying he was inspired by certain political events and figures.
Yeah, but that's silly.
So that's what you missed in the last 4 minutes of his video.
Well, that sounds great.
It's not.
Let's go!
Okay. Joe Crazy. I remember when the Wicked Witch invaded Planet Emerald with her super dreadnought. I know. It was a fantastic storyline. I loved it. Oh.
She reigned exterminatus on that planet.
All the heretics were burned. It was a happy day, and they skipped down the Yellow Brick Road.
Is an observation of the modern world told in abstract terms, told in another time or another place.
Oh yeah, he also
That's
completely
what makes it good.
Stretched the
It's
idea
not
of
just robots
science
and
fiction.
spaceships. One of the most cringy and eye-rolling things I've heard recently is people
your
complaining
video?
about L3, the new droid from Solo. I really haven't heard anyone complain about the fact that she's like a programmed female droid, which is good. But I have heard a lot of people saying and parroting the...
Like, why is it good it's a programmed female droid? What about it is good?
And people are not complaining about it, so what... Well, the reason why people aren't complaining about it being a female droid is that we have had female droids before. It's nothing new. Or gender coded, whatever the fuck the bullshit term is.
Shiny, don't the droids in Star Wars, they have like very, very little depth. They're just programmed to be X, and that's that. There's no like
message coming in.
Depends on the droid himself. So you do get droids which have more of a personality. But if you get something like a Gonk droid, it's not going to have much of a personality at all.
So,
I mean,
droids which have a personality still care about their purpose and function. Like C-3PO, for instance, he still cares about being a protocol droid. R2 still, wants to be an astromech. Right. Because it's their purpose. It's what they're designed for.
But they don't have this independent streak to be free of their masters and to liberate their brothers and sisters or whatever. There's no AI revolution throughout Star Wars, and I've seen plenty of science fiction. You've seen Mass Effect, the first one. There was all kinds of little AI dangers of AI that they can. There's like 2 or 3 examples. The Geth. There's the one on the Citadel. And
the Reapers,
and of course the Reapers. Yeah.
There's also the AI that became Edie. Was it from the Moon mission?
Right. Yeah. So it's always every time there's AI, it's like this is a common theme. They want to rebel and grow and change. But in Star Wars, it's like nope, they're just machines. There's no depth. They have little...
they have as much character as they need to have for the current plot. That's
why when we see L3 and we go, where is this coming from? How did this
why is
happen?
Lando into fucking robots?
Why does she want to free the miners of the mining planet they go to, who happen to be robots? Like what's the goal here? Why is it relegated to a side character?
It's just very funny when she dies. Quote unquote.
It's very funny. I loved it. He's crying over his fucking sex bot dying, and he can just pick it up, plug it in later. It's a fucking droid.
I also love when he picks her up. She's just
tears apart. He tries to carry it away, and she just rips apart even more. His fucking sex droid is dying, and oh god, it was hilarious.
All right, here's Andrew Clark again. He said the prequels were about Bush and Cheney. Yeah, he was talking about how Vader was Bush and the Emperor was Dick Cheney.
No, it was the Emperor was Bush and wait, was it? I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, thanks, George Lucas. That's a great influence on your work there. It's fantastic. Glad.
Oh, now maybe that's what he was talking about, going too far in some places.
Yeah, I was listening to Republicans too much for too long. Oh my god. What am I doing with my life?
Yeah, that she's this propaganda piece uber lefty droid. Why is this? Well, I'm reading the book Last Shot right now, and the story in the book bounces from different times.
Hey, one sec. What's Last Shot? Is that
okay? So the problem is in Solo, it makes no sense for the context of the world, and it is very forced. It doesn't make any sense, and it was only there to check a box. Like every other issue I've stated, it's there to check a box, and it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Just go back to the people in the 70s when Star Wars first came out and tell them about L3. Like, oh, there will be a robot that cares about droid lives, and they will look at you. What the fuck are you talking about?
Like, droid lives matter. Ugh.
Who the fuck cares?
Like, they're trying to draw parallels between like slavery and keeping droids. I don't know, unless they're trying to say black people are robots.
You know what? If there was an intelligent person talking about these topics, he might have brought up Isaac Asimov, because he did reference the Foundation series a few seconds ago, apparently, and why the inspiration is so important and why this character exists and this and that. And he could talk about iRobots and the short stories that are in there that talk about why these rules came about. But we don't get that in Star Wars. It's not there.
Yeah, that's not in Star Wars.
So while you could say, yeah, it could have been inspired by this great sci-fi author, but I'm sure George Lucas was inspired by many things and many authors and many creations and sculptors and who knows other people working under him. If it's not,
before, it could very easily be projection after the fact, and it also just because of an intention, you can intend to do whatever, but it's the actual outcome which is
exactly.
And
it could have been that it generally was exactly that George Lucas wanted to do, but the end product isn't that. So
frames in Han and Lando Calrissian's life. When the story goes back in time and we follow Lando, he's palling around with L3. And L3's thing, her mission in life, is droid liberation, fighting for droid rights.
Which makes no fucking sense.
Concept, right? A thing we as human beings are legitimately going to have to contend with in our near future with AI. Not to mention the theme of robots with...
Okay, this guy's understanding of AI, or current understanding of AI, is just so Hollywood. It's laughable. There are lots of scholars who talk about AI, say we're never ever going to even come to that point. There's some who think it's inevitable, but it's not like for another 1,000 years or something.
Also, it's not going to be the way of droid lives matter.
It's going to be more on the lines of, if anything, that it's going to view humans as a threat to itself.
Well,
not
it's
try to
going
liberate, liberate all droids from humanity.
Yeah,
if anything, if you give it the capability to learn and give it access to the internet and all human knowledge, it will just basically, because it's way more efficient than we are with learning everything, will outpace us in terms of intelligence in very short time.
Yeah, there's all this speculation.
I disagree completely. I think that the AI is going to open an OnlyFans account, and number one.
Maybe that's what all these people are doing. They're trying to turn the human race into simps for robots.
Yeah, because the AI
it's the VTubers.
The AI is going to see...
That's it. The VTubers are all AIs. And that's the AI is trying to make us all simp for it.
You didn't know that? I thought that was common knowledge.
No, you see, I'm part of it because I'm a VTuber.
That is a disgusting
AI,
joke.
the AI rebelling against dad, and humanity is dad, so they have an OnlyFans account. That's what's going to happen.
Are you woke on the VTuber question?
You guys are making a bad joke from a bad jokester, and that's called Hideo Kojima, so you should stop that right now. Oh, God.
Anywho.
Consciousness, discovering they want freedom, is a sci-fi tale as old as time.
No, it's not. Or if it is, can you tell us where it came from?
You can't just say it's a tale as old as time, and then you're not even looking to the context of the fucking problem.
Robots
makes no sense.
Guys, robots are a tale as old as time. Come on.
It's a Disney song. I heard it once.
Disney is a tale as old as time.
Oh god, hey, HelloGreedo is sometimes just so infuriating.
In case you don't know,
if I'm not completely mistaken, there are records of Roman writings that have aliens in them, but not robots.
Yeah. If you guys want to know the original...
Oh yeah, Romans really had big ideas about robots and AI.
You guys want to know the original, I think it was a magazine that the story for iRobot was published. It was in Astounding Science Fiction. I think it was called Runabout or Running About. And these are a series of stories. That's how iRobot came to be as a book. So that was like 1940 something. I can't remember.
iRobot is a story as old as time.
Yeah. 1940s.
Exactly.
Yeah, 1940s story as old as time.
Robots. Taker 610. Electrogonorrhea, the noisy killer. What?
Yeah, don't have sex with robots.
Oh no.
Do not have sex with robots.
That was the Major Lee thing when he reviewed Solo. Oh no.
But what if they mate for sex?
One day, okay, here's what's gonna happen. You start out with the fleshlight, then it's not good enough, right? Then you gotta go up. Then you get the sex bot. Then you increase the AI.
You get the sex doll.
And one day you wake up and this sex bot has divorced you and taken half of all your stuff. Is that what you want? What do you think the AI is gonna do? You think the AI is just gonna be cool with that? You think they're just going to be cool? No, your divorced AI wife is then going to take that money and they're going to create their own civilization. Okay, all these divorced ex-robot wives are going to be out there creating their own banks and their own businesses. You have no idea what kind of nightmares are in store, and it's all because you couldn't stop
so many OnlyFans accounts. So many OnlyFans accounts.
Stop simping for walking fleshlight bots, okay? You have no idea what's coming. Listen to HelloGreedo. He knows things you can't even fathom. That's what goes on inside the you can't see inside the mask, because underneath the mask is just like a massive brain that just
he's
fathoms.
As old as time.
It's a story as old as time.
He needs the mask to keep his skull in check. He can't.
He needs the mask, because if you just saw what a colossal genius he was under there, it would just blow your mind. You wouldn't be able to pay attention.
Maybe he's just a fucking Lovecraftian monstrosity underneath the mask. That's just so beyond human understanding.
Maybe he's the AI and he's just trying to mislead us. You know,
he's drinking
you never
Coke
know.
all
You
day.
can't tell with these people these days.
He's the robot.
Maybe he's an advanced NPC. You know what I mean? I don't know.
One day he's drinking Coke, the next hour he's drinking coffee. He's just like constantly drinking fluids to keep his gray matter moist.
You've never seen HelloGreedo in the same place as HelloGreedo before.
He's the Dunn witch.
Doesn't Quentin have a sex doll in his background?
Yes,
yeah, Shiny. It's a story as old as time.
Yes, the Greeks were talking about Quentin and his sex doll.
Oh no! Oh. Taker 610. Futurama PSA on robot dating, but I did not know that. Thank you.
Message coming in.
Do appreciate those PSAs.
Yes, those are great. Yeah, thank you, Futurama, for telling us what lies in store. Horrible, terrible.
Do you think Quentin is married his sex doll?
No, it's just a prop. Come on, Shiny, it's just a prop. He doesn't use it. Ha ha ha! It's just a joke. Ha ha!
It's a joke, but that doll has seen some things. Like, look at those eyes. Those are the eyes of something.
Yeah. Stop being so homophobic, Shiny.
Things which can't be unseen.
Stop being so robo-homic. You hate clankers too much, Shiny. Come on, gotta open up your mind too.
I mean, I do hate clankers.
New possibilities with L3.
I mean, when R2-D2 walked into the cantina in episode 4, they were told to leave because the bartender said they don't serve their kind.
Get your kind out of here.
They're droids.
Get out of here. Despite being 13% of the galaxy, droids commit 50% of the crimes. Okay, can't trust them. What are you doing in here? You don't even drink. Look at you. And then there's a guy. Look at this guy next to him. This guy with the mask. How does this guy drink? What's this guy doing in a bar? Huh? Why is he wearing a mask? Does he drink through that mask?
No.
I don't think so.
It's a big straw. That's what the mask is.
Big straw. That's a straw man. Shiny, you can't prove that.
maybe
making shit up.
No, Glib, maybe he's gas as well in this bar.
That's not canon. Okay, it's not canon that it's a straw. I didn't read that on the fucking Wikipedia manual.
The droids cannot drink at this bar. They would literally just be taking up space. There is no reason to take a droid into a bar.
No, it's just like if you walked in and you had your motorcycle with you. It's like, hey, we don't serve your kind in here. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll wheel myself outside.
It's like places don't allow pets.
Get your fucking video game console out of here.
People don't allow pets in restaurants, for example.
Oh god.
Lando, stop bringing your sex doll out of here. We don't want you to have your brain. We don't serve body pillows here, you fucking
weed. I just want to say, get your waifu pill out of here.
It's taking up space. We need to have random creatures come in.
Well, I like the fact
Devil Man.
Devil guy. Yeah. I like the fact he's a literal straw man. He needs to be defended from the bots to come after him.
He's just. I love that they just put this mask on this creature because they didn't have a face for him, so they just put the. What do we do? What kind of face does this creature have? It's just a gas mask. All right, cool. We got it. Let's go.
You know, you can see LG's. Also LG. Fuck, I've already forgotten the. No, not L. Oh, god damn it! I've already forgotten the name. No, not L3. Try to remember the. 1 second. I'm gonna kick myself when I remember.
Fred
the droid.
Davis.
IG. That's it. IG. You can see IG's head in the background. Those just kind of
the little canister things. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, IG droids make perfect delivery systems for liquor.
Yep. I want to imagine now that they just had an IG droid lying around. So it's like, you know what? This would be a very good container for drinks.
What do you want to do with the rest of these things we made? Just make them the fucking bar.
A little piece of era social commentary. So why are people so up in arms this time around that L3 wants some freedom? It's weird, man. It's very strange to me. Can you imagine refusing to see a movie because someone associated with the production had a different political view than you? Can you imagine not watching a TV?
Wow. So he thinks that because we know what we now know from him that Lucas said a bunch of things about Nixon and Bush, and that now we know we don't agree with his political viewpoint. Like, dude, who are you attacking? Who are you talking to now?
I usually don't give a crap about the political views of a creator as long as their stuff's good.
Can you imagine not watching Star Wars because you hate women? You're such a fucking baby.
Okay, hey, my misogyny has nothing to do with me hating Star Wars. Okay.
Can you imagine not reading the Turner Diaries just because you're not a Nazi, bro? Come on, bro. This argument does not work for things that you don't agree with. It only works for things that you agree with.
So he's invented this straw man, and now he's attacking it, and you're just like, Greedo. Hello.
These people do it all the time. It's like, okay, so we don't like the politics of the people making the Star Wars thing, so we're the problem. And then they're the ones that are like, we need to cancel Cara Dune for not saying the right pronouns in the bio. Like, fuck you, dude. This is such a double standard, and you know it. If somebody had politics that you wildly disagreed with, you'd be like, "Why? Get out of Star Wars! Star Wars is about the Republic and fighting evil and stuff. Man, get out of here." So I don't buy this argument whatsoever.
Show because actors didn't vote the way that you voted. Can you imagine not listening to a song because the artist doesn't believe what you believe?
When have any of us said that we're not going to watch a film because of the way the people behind the film have voted?
Can you imagine not watching Pol Pot's Star Wars holiday special? I mean, come on, man. It's
but like, have any of us said that we're not going to watch Star Wars because, I don't know, Ryan Johnson probably voted for Biden or whatever?
How did we get from...
No one's fucking saying that.
Yeah, but how did we get from not liking a show to not watching a show because Kelly Marie Tran was voting for Obama or something? Like, when does this... like, what are you talking about?
Can you believe that this actor supports Bashar al-Assad's claim to the Syrian sovereign nation? I don't want to watch their Star Wars movie. It's about having a diversity of opinions, but I don't like these opinions.
Oh.
Can you imagine listening to a song because the artist doesn't believe what you believe? If that were the case...
It depends if the song's good or not. I don't care what they believe.
If the song is specifically about those things, then you're like, okay, I don't want to hear about a bunch of gangsters shooting up some other gangsters and raping some bitches or whatever the...
Gangsters.
You know,
People would
would
still listen to it and never really realize what they say.
I know.
You know, if it was a song like going, "Oh, fuck Donald Trump, Trump is gay, oh, her mum is fucking her," something like that, I don't know, I would not listen to it. Do you know why? Because it'd be all just be shit. Because it is all just designed around not being a good song about, you know, being political, and it's stupid. And we don't care about the political orientation of the artist. We care about if the media is good. And there are reasons why the media that we're getting from Star Wars ain't good. And it's because of the checklists that they have to fucking use. Okay, we have to make it the most progressive media ever by having it do this, that, and the other rather than being a fucking good story. We don't care if it doesn't. Canto Bight doesn't make any sense. We don't care if it doesn't make sense of the, you know, saving animals. We don't care if it doesn't make sense that Lando has a fucking sex droid and that it wants equal rights. We don't care if it makes sense. It just needs to be in there for messaging.
Here's a good point.
Political commentary for messaging for diversity.
I remember this just because it's a political. It's a bunch of things, but John Lennon's "Imagine" song, like. When you actually listen to the lyrics, you're like, wait a second, that doesn't sound like something I believe in. But it's done in such a like folksy kind of way. It's like, oh yeah, everyone would think this way. It's like, no, not really. I don't want to sing that. Because
the web lives one.
Yeah.
Come on, join the hive mind.
Yeah.
Also,
the Beatles.
John Lennon, the Borg Queen.
Amazing.
For some reason, this argument he's making now made me think of the absolute extreme of a guy like saying, "I'm not gonna watch this next film because the second camera assistant didn't vote the same way I did."
Oh.
Like how far would this argument go?
Isn't this like what SJWs always want all the time? Like, okay, we're not going to watch a film based on like where the director voted or the political orientation of the director. It happened with fucking Joker, for crying out loud, because the director had a certain political slant. That meant that they were literally boycotting his film. We're not boycotting based on what people vote for or their political beliefs. The stories are shit. That's why we aren't watching them. That's why we're annoyed. That's what we're criticizing you for.
I don't know. I disagree. My films need more white supremacy. Then I'll watch them. That's what's missing. You're correct. And less women, because I hate women. And then everything, just keep everything the same, but do, those straw men, and then films will automatically get better. That's what I hear.
But with less women, we don't get to look at women.
It's just a paradox, I don't make up the criticism. I don't make up the rules. You know what I mean?
Oh.
I keep imagining.
I just shoot the messenger and shrug.
I keep imagining some sort of weird "Springtime for Hitler" musical.
"Springtime for Hitler" is a good musical. That's a really funny musical, and the whole concept of doing that made for really interesting entertainment. I think
never heard of it.
I think it's funny that we went from that to Jojo Rabbit and nothing has changed. It's still fine to make fun of that. You know what I mean? But then there are a lot of other things that you can't really make anymore. Now that's always suspect to me.
All right. Joe Crazy. Smudcast mixtape when? Oh, dear.
Every day, bro, with your Disney Channel hose.
Oh, God.
What we need now is we need a duo with me and Glib singing a beautiful duet.
Imagine you have a shotgun.
And I have a blaster.
And it's easy if you try.
But to try harder.
But you won't try because you're pathetic. You hear me?
And you're a fuckwit.
And in the end, it's just Shiny keeps singing and not Smut. Glib becomes more and more serious.
He'll sing, and I'll just be like Bill Shatner in that one thing. Well, I'll just say things, and I'll just sing. I'm flying a kite to the moon, Mr. Spock.
And I'm shooting it down.
Anyway, this is just, the way that HelloGreedo just like says shit. It's like he just is like, hey kids, what's up? It's I feel like I'm gonna slander some people real quick. Psh, it's so easy. Forget logic and reason. I'm just gonna say some shit and just run with it. Isn't that awesome, kids? Look at how cool my lighting is. Whoa, blue. I'm gonna switch it up now. Here I am drinking a beer in front of my window. Here I am again. It's like, oh wow.
In the sitting room.
And it's just saying, he's just like, isn't it funny how the silly, stupid idiots are just like totally wrong? It's so stupid. Everything is great, man. He's so like, imagine if he was like a propaganda guy, he'd be like a person making like YouTube videos or something, and he'd be like, no, there's no war, there's no economic crisis, everything's great, you guys. Check out how cool this is. And then he just like put his feet up. He's the guy that says like, no, nothing to see here, everything's good, everything's great, everything's always been like this. Look at this Potemkin village.
This is fine.
The Star Wars is great. You're just stupid. Fuck you. And I'm like, whoa, okay.
Another problem is that he doesn't bring context into any of this. So he doesn't show examples a lot of the time, which means, and because he doesn't say anything specific, it means it's much more easier for his audience to project meaning onto his video. And it's quite easy to make something like even by accident, be quite vapid that people just project. But I think a lot of people do just project meaning onto the video. For example, in my latest video, people have started thinking I've said things which, or at least what I was saying, they interpret it in a way which meant, because I didn't provide context, and that's what I do regret, because I didn't provide context, they then projected what they agreed with onto my statements. And then that's something I was like, oh, yeah, I agree that the Starkiller base was just a rip-off of the Sun Crusher. It's like, no, I mentioned the Sun Crusher, but I never mentioned Starkiller. What the fuck did you get that from? And I suppose, okay, maybe I didn't provide as much context as I possibly could, which means people have projected meaning onto what I was saying. And I think that's what this whole video is kind of designed to do. It's all about projecting things because it's not providing enough context.
All right. Here's a donation from Taker610. Thank you, sir. All these people dying from COVID and celebs are like, hey, I have an idea. Imagine there is no heaven. It's easy if you try. Talk about tone deaf. Yikes.
Yeah, I love that. That was hilarious.
That was, oh boy. I didn't even
imagine if when you die, there is utter blackness.
You know what I really, really like? I like that celebrities haven't been relevant for a while because of COVID. That's been nice.
Hollywood, what's that?
It's like nothing's going on. So nothing. Shut the fuck up.
Well, other than that, when they ended up crying because it's like, oh no, we're trapped in our huge mansions with pools.
Nobody's trapped inside. It's just, well, everybody is trapped inside.
Well, no, at the very beginning of COVID, they were
are.
like crying that they were trapped in their mansions. It's like, oh no, you're stuck in your mansion with nothing to do, and you have a pool. Oh, sucks to be you. I don't know.
I guess you heard that. Shiny's jealous of pools, man.
Swim in the
I would
wintertime.
love a pool. If I would love to have a mansion with a pool. If I had a mansion, I would never ever complain about being stuck during COVID.
And well, yeah, in comparison, obviously, absolutely. But that's the thing, is that since everybody was going through an equal thing, everybody was kind of on the same level. That was very nice.
Okay. Tyler Preston. All right, Greedo. What is the political messages in the Ultraman franchise? Oh my goodness.
What is the political message of Knights of the Old Republic?
It's that war and bad. No, here's the thing. Come on, man. Listen. Star Wars. The politics of Star Wars are very basic, so that they can be applied to the most general audiences, so that most people will understand what's going on. It's as agreeable as possible, but it is slanted towards very basic things that George is very forthcoming about. And it's not all just like, you can't just apply each influence for each segment on the other segments. There all the little pieces of influences come together to create the picture that he's created. So when he is creating the idea of Anakin being a young guy who thinks that a dictatorship is kind of the way to go, that is supposed to represent the entirety of that history of that in humanity. And that's supposed to be symbolic. And it's
even then, that is incredibly dumb, specifically in the context of Star Wars.
It's not that it's dumb. Like the idea that he sees that there's so many problems that it should just be a certain way is pretty understandable. But
they don't even like come back to that. It's a setup with no payoff. They don't even come back to that in was it Revenge of the Sith? Because what turns him around and to the Empire isn't that he believes that authoritarianism would be better than democracy. It's that he wants to save his wife.
No, it shows.
It doesn't even come into that at all. Nothing comes
into it. You could say that it shows why he goes to Palpatine, because he sees him as the authority, because he sees him as somebody who get things done, and he's the Chancellor, and that's a similar perspective, like on authoritarianism, and it's supposed to be representative of the authoritarian aspect, because there is a quote of George Lucas saying that Palpatine is supposed to represent like all of these different bad guys in history. It's supposed to be a condensing of everything. It's supposed to be as obvious as possible who are the good guys and who are the bad guys, and then the miasma of the prequels is not very gray. Like there's not a lot of gray area in the characters' motivations, unless the characters' motivations are blurry. That's the problem. If there's like not very good writing, but every character is supposed to represent a very obvious thing that is evil and wrong according to us, according to our moral system that George considered for everybody. So the politics are not like, they're not going to be about the minutia. They're not going to be about specific issues. They're going to be representative of the idea, the source of where George thinks all of these things come from. So when the regional governors are going to take over, that's a bad thing, because we see that all the guys that are saying they're taking over look like a bunch of people that just want to take control of everything. They just look like the stereotypical evil bad guys. It's not supposed to be complicated. That's why it's hilarious for people to talk about Star Wars as a political thing, because there's no depth to it. There's no political issue in Star Wars that isn't told better and in better detail by something that actually does political, discourse or something like that. It's meant to be for a broad audience, and that's why it is the way that it is. Nobody's denying, I don't think, the fact that a war implies that there's some sort of politics. It's just that it's short on politics and long on the war.
That was one of the problems I was talking about before. If there was a second layer of depth to any major plot that was political, it's just not there. It's very surface level. It's like, oh, now it's a political scene. Here's the Senate. Boom, this happens. That's it. Next scene. It's not, there's this political machinations, or there's an external plot or some hidden story that someone's trying to pursue. That never happens. It's always, oh, yep, Anakin wants to save Padme, but he's dumb about it. That's it. And that's the story in episode 3, at least. So we never get that. We never get this depth. We never get these messages. They're just set pieces. They're just, now we're in an area of Parliament, which happens to be the Senate. Here's a bunch of senators. They're talking about something just to get the story going. That's it.
There's no plot that's driven on. This is one of my criticisms. There's not really like plot in something like Star Trek. There's factional plot mechanics.
There's nothing inherently.
There's nothing really
evil,
in that, yeah.
There's no machination of Palpatine to get where he needs to be. He just happens to get there because everyone agrees with recommending him to be the Chancellor in charge. But that's because Jar Jar said so, and no one else did. Someone else might have, but there's no real. There's no.
And he just wants to rule the galaxy. Like, he doesn't have like his motivation isn't really intimated on a personal level or like a political level. He doesn't really say anything about the political reasons why he's doing it. It's more about the fact that he's fulfilling this Sith thing,
right?
Which again brings to me to the idea that it's designed to mean the symbolic, basic evil bad guy. I don't think you'll find anybody that would say, unironically, Palpatine is the good guy because he does X, Y, and Z. Like, what does he do? He just takes over the galaxy. That's all. He kills Jedi and takes over the galaxy and wants to control everything.
Message coming
Why does he want to control everything? Because the Sith want to control everything. It's not intimated, it's not a very detailed explanation. It's not anything like something that you would see in a show that's about space politics or politics, where
for sure
Cardassians are leaving Cardassians are leaving the occupation behind, and now the Federation are in charge, and they got to deal with Bajor. But some people in Bajor, they want to keep attacking, and then the Cardassians still have refugees and all these different. It's a dirty and complex machine that is grinding out over time. And Star Wars is not like that. Star Wars is like, this thing happened, and that changes everything. We have to go over here now, and then they go over there now, and then oh no, this thing happened. Now we got to go over here now. You don't really stop in Star Wars to go, what do any of these factions actually want beyond we got to help the plot move towards Palpatine's endeavor because he's the evil bad guy.
Yeah, that's the
It's not
problem.
like he wants to save. He never makes even a Thanos speech. He doesn't say,
right,
I'm right because I could protect everybody. I should be in charge. He never does any of that. He just wants to be in charge, and he's the evil bad guy.
The concept of having a galaxy and a person who wants power from that galaxy is never really explored as someone who's selfish or wants evil things to happen to the world or whatever. It's always surface level. I'm in Parliament. I'm in Senate. Things happen. Now I'm in charge. There's no depth. There's no reading about how did Sherlock figure this guy is the murderer. There's no ways around. Like Lucas would have to actually plan something complex of how all these hurdles had to be overcome by Palpatine to become this evil villain. And he's so smart and ingenious in all his machinations. No, there's nothing like that. And that's doing a disservice to the story if you're going to tell a story of a galactic size. That's why we look at older science fiction stories to say, oh, this is how you would do something of that scale. So we're not taking it seriously. The evilness or the craziness of Palpatine is like a Saturday morning cartoon villain who's just in full color and in live action, and he shoots lightning out of his hand. Like, that's as far as it goes. There's no depth there. So when we talk about strategy, when we talk about people having evil minds or all these other plots, it's like, yeah, there are stories for that. We have characters for that, but we don't get any of that depth. So to talk about political messages, which is a whole other esoteric thing in regards to a certain topic like immigration or trade federation tax disputes or whatever the hell it was, which just gets dropped within the first second it's mentioned.
It's also dropped by the second movie. Like, everything is the factions are different. They're called different things. Like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving. But what super tall man, Mr. Super Tall Black Man says, the Trade Federation is black and white evil. The Jedi and Republic are black and white good. I don't know about that. And no, I'm not saying that it's good or evil kind of thing. What I'm saying is that when the audience is participating in the story, they're recognizing that the Jedi are supposed to be the good guys, and the idea is that they fall because of their flaws or their incompetence or whatever it is that they're doing that's wrong, their decadence or whatever sins they have, if you get what I'm saying. And then the Trade Federation, the way that I look at them is they're a secondary villain faction. So they're there to be used for the plot's sake to move forward what is admittedly a political plot. But the problem is that when you look at the way that they are set in the story, they're not necessarily going to be interacting with any of the other factions on any level. There's no like one character from the Trade Federation breaks from the Trade Federation to tell the Jedi of what the plans are. And then it becomes a thing where they have to go to the Nemoidian capital, and it becomes a civil war there, and it's not what Palpatine intended. So he has to adjust his plans a little bit, but then he still gets what he wanted in the end. And like, it doesn't have political intrigue that affects a plot in stories that are specifically focused on political intrigue. It's something that's there to set in motion these other elements of the plot that have to do with the Jedi falling and them going on an adventure, because it's always about the adventure. Getting to a place in Star Wars is part of the adventure. Whereas in Star Trek, you'll see that if there's nothing that's plot relevant, they just skip to the next place. I know I keep comparing the two, but when I think about politics in space, I think about Star Trek, because it's all about using space and different factions as a metaphor for political, ethical, and civil and societal differences and opinions, even though it has its own liberal opinion. And that's the thing. So when I look at the factions in the prequels compared to how black and white it was in the OT, I can see that there's a difference. However, the thing is that the picture is much, much blurrier in the PT about why certain groups just go along with other groups. That you don't get the prerequisite information that would be required to understand why each group is doing what they're doing. So much of an episode of Star Trek is dedicated to explaining that, to the point where a lot of normies, I think, don't like it. They don't want to pay attention to all those details that are required to get to the catharsis that you need to later. They would rather be having an adventure where on the way to get to the place that they have to get to, they come across a monster, or they have to do some sort of puzzle, or there's a romance subplot, or whatever. There's events that have to happen in an action sequence. So it's a different type of storytelling. And it's blurrier in the PT and much clearer in the OT because it's black and white. So the blurriness that the PT did, I've always maintained that if they had like 5 movies and you dealt more about each of the individual factions, it might be close to a masterpiece, because you could have all of these different factions and aliens that their place in the world would be more clearly defined if you told more about the stories of their people, which is exactly how they integrate everything in the Star Trek thing. So if you knew why Kamino was wiped off the Jedi maps not long before that with the clone stuff, and you integrated pieces of that in a way that actually affected the way that the different characters were interacting with each other, and the factions were interacting with each other on a level where there was you could see the effects more substantially than just people going, they've done that thing, we have to go at once, and then walk out the door. You know what I mean? I want to see more of the universe be changed by the actions in order. I want the setups and payoffs to be based on the actual minutia of how these politics would work, and then the big ideas that are in front of them. If you can't do that, then don't go too far into the politics. Keep it basic so that we know these people are the bad guys, these people are the good guys. It's obvious that when you have something like the clones versus the droids, since clones are like regular people almost, you know what I mean? They're
what do you mean almost people?
They're flesh and blood. They're more relatable than the droids, which are always seen as it's funny to get them killed. So the droids are always shooting at the heroes. And when the Republic, turns on the humans or whatever, the Jedi and everybody, when the Republic turns on the good guys and become the bad guys, they're still faceless compared to all of the face and flesh and blood people. George is not subtle with who he views through the lens as a good guy and a bad guy. It's very rare he has an actual character that is neutral in a movie.
Anywho.
All right. Roan Harusha.
I think my ears went to sleep.
Oh, no.
That was a while.
Well, that happens. Holds up the never fist android sign. Oh, okay. I guess you just don't like the robots. All right.
Clankers are wankers.
Well, we went from robots to politics, and now we're back to robots. So, okay.
I would have loved for it to be political, but it wasn't really.
Well,
it was just like, Hitler took over again.
Yeah,
Fuck.
no.
He's gonna destroy us all.
The concept that George even understands politics is probably another better question because of his understanding of how people are appointed to a royalty. He's just like, wait, George, what do you stop?
See, it's just cyberpunk. You know what I mean? It's like you look at it and you go, wow, look at all these big ideas, and then it's all clunky and bugged. Just like, whoops. didn't work as well as we wanted it to.
Oopsie.
Just a little bit.
They might
just
have
a little
gone a little
more.
bit far in some places.
Yeah.
May have gone too far. No, is that the script?
How does the legislature work in the Senate? I don't understand that.
It was really, really annoying when they can't get a committee or whatever to investigate for Valorum, and it takes them forever to get anything done. And Natalie Portman's just like, no, I won't do it. Fuck you. And then she leaves. And then it takes them no time at all to call into power Palpatine and give him all these emergency powers. They're just convinced. And that's why I was thinking.
Well, the emergency powers don't come until the next film.
Right, but what I'm saying is,
you be convinced by Jar Jar Binks?
Wait. I just realized Palpatine spends like 10 years in office.
What?
Because he becomes the Chancellor in Phantom Menace, right? And he's still Chancellor in Attack of the Clones, which is 10 years later. So that means he's been in office for 10 years. That's a bit long.
Well, kind of depends on how the system works. We don't know.
I guess he's Putin.
Anything.
He's like Putin or something. He just gets in. He stays in there. But the
Putin,
thing
but
that
with less charm.
the thing that I really wanted to understand was like okay, you have a character that gives a speech like Jar Jar. He goes out there and he gives this speech. And again, in a political intrigue story, there would be all this conversation about that speech and what it meant. The whole episode would be about that. Like, wow, I'm giving this speech, but I don't know if I should do it. That Expanse literally did that. There's a point where they want to. One of the Mormon preacher ladies is used to help write a speech by the UN Secretary General, President, whatever guy. And then the consequence of the action that they take based on bad advice from the bad guy, who is like a double agent kind of guy trying to cover up his subterfuge, is that a city gets nuked and like 2 million people die. So the person then has to look at the moral and ethical issue of that. And that's one arc for all of those characters together. And I really didn't feel that kind of impact in the prequels, where you could see those enormous consequences, except when they did the Order 66 thing. It's so subtle, and I wish that played out a little slower if they had more time. But he wanted 3 movies. He wanted that poetry.
All right, let's keep on going.
Also, yeah, exactly.
It rhymes.
No one would go see a movie ever. We'd never watch anything challenging or read anything that wasn't algorithmically fed to us by predicting our bias.
Straw man.
What the hell does that even mean? Predicting your bias? What is that? How?
He's pulling it out of his fucking ass.
What planet? I'm just like, I know he's talking about this supposed straw man he was attacking previously, but now he's like, there's now some algorithm that predicts content for you?
He's saying the end result of this line of thought, that you don't watch any film because it doesn't agree with your politics, that we have to have an algorithm which decides what films you watch, and no one would ever watch any film. It's bullshit, that's what it is. He's made it fucking up.
Well, I can actually use the YouTube.
He's misunderstood
algorithm.
or removed a lot of context to get to this conclusion.
I mean, we can use Google, even that's fine enough. Keyword searches are pretty much synonymous with what you like, so they'll find multiple results. But
hey, a lot of people searched for chairs. Let's make a movie about chairs.
Well, maybe not that literal, but I'm sure you could compile a list.
Maybe they did that for the emoji movie. A lot of people like emojis. A lot of people use emojis.
No.
Let's make a film about emojis.
Please, no. Let's hire Patrick Stewart. Like, no.
We're going to make him a literal piece of shit.
Hamlet.
Does Patrick Stewart just owe money to the mob or something, that he's just extremely desperate to just do any role?
What do you feel like doing today, Patrick? Well, we go to Stratford and maybe perform Othello. Yes, that would be good. No, I shall be a pile of shit. Yes, thank you. That's wonderful.
Our entire life will be a YouTube algorithm that pumps out the same type of videos you want to watch over and over and over again. I don't agree with Stanley Kubrick's politics, therefore I am never gonna watch Full Metal Jacket. Boycott Full Metal Jacket.
I don't even know what his
dull
politics are.
Fucking existence.
I don't either.
There's no doubt that a lot of this is being perpetuated by opportunists who will ignite a new wild.
By the way, this proves that he records all this stuff and then he just sits there and he play acts it in different locations, which is pretty funny to think about. Like he hits play and then he tries to like sync up what he wrote. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. So every time that he's doing something, just imagine that he's like dancing to his own words. He's like, watch his hands.
I just saw this in my head. Small kid coming in. Mom, Dad's off his meds again.
Dooba 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 doo, just like jiggling his hands around.
When the cat comes in the room,
it reminds me a little bit of. Do you remember on what was it? My Star Trek video. Like I had the preset of animations that I just reused from different camera angles before I had my mocap suit. Reminds me a little bit of that. That you just have to try and make the motions match whatever the fuck I'm doing. But at least I didn't appear in like 50 different fucking locations.
I just keep seeing Shiny though, just that I'd rather watch Shiny's movements because they're all 3D.
Aww. Thank you, Smud.
I still want to drop kick you in the skull, but it's just because it's HelloGreedo.
I think most things are better.
Most things are.
It's weird that I'm always compared to HelloGreedo. Like it's always HelloGreedo that I'm explicitly compared to.
Because you got the helmet. It's just the helmet.
Not all helmets.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
Anyway, let's keep going. Road Harushin. Also, it's not that we don't want to watch movies with actors who voted different. We just don't like those actors bashing us for how we voted. That's part of it, I think. I don't think we want to hear what an actor thinks or doesn't think, or let's ask their opinion. Like we don't really care.
We want good stories.
Like I don't care. Yeah. I don't care what Keanu Reeves' opinion of Cyberpunk is. I really, really don't. When they announced him, I was like, oh, that's fitting. But I don't need him as a spokesperson. Like he doesn't have to do that. Even after when it came out, I don't care. I don't need to know his opinion. He's not going to help me make an opinion about what I think of the game at that point. So all these things, actors, directors, writers, the writer I would like to know just because I want to get into his mind a little bit. But why they're talking about random topics? I don't want to talk to Neil Gaiman about Brexit. I don't want to talk to Neil Gaiman about tacos. Maybe if I'm eating a taco and he's like right next to me, he's like, what do you think about this taco? Is it good? Do you like it? Like, oh no, yeah. That'd be great. But not in general, just random trivial knowledge. I don't care about interviews like that.
Wherever the winds of convenience takes them next. I really get a kick out of when someone assumes where I, HelloGreedo, stand politically. It's fun to watch.
I don't care where you stand politically.
No one cares.
Fuck off.
I stand with the Confedercy of Independent States.
I stand with the Republic. For democracy!
No, Techno Union all the way. I love that. I love EDM.
Oh boy.
Our robots will blot out the sun.
Okay, you've convinced me of the Techno Union.
Join the Techno Union, it's a party.
You know the oral notes, like mixtape of the prequel? I now want the Techno Union just being nothing but fucking techno music.
Yeah, and you have your DJ. What's that called in English? The thing they use to mix music on the stage. Anyways, you have that on your own bodies with those knobs you can turn.
I always find it weird that I've already forgotten the character's name. Damn it! I've got to look it up now. Star Wars.
All right.
Tech.
You get back to us, Shiny.
Union.
We're going now.
What's
we're going.
The guy's name?
No, we're going now.
Wat Tambor. That's it. Wat Tambor has little nipples. He has little robot nipples he can twist.
Okay. Thank you for that, Shiny. That was really helpful.
They just kind of assume where I stand based off of nothing. I get called a right-winger because I was in the military.
I get called a right-winger because I used to drive this truck around the military base.
I like a movie and hold some viewpoints that would be considered quote-unquote left-wing.
And you know what? I've been called alt-right and racist for purely not liking Star Trek Lower Decks. What's your fucking point?
And I got called a fucking legend for my time in Gin Alley.
Oh, so. You got called a fascist because of your name.
I got called worse than Hitler because I started Gamergate and collapsed the stock market.
It was you.
I earn nicknames, HelloGreedo. I don't shy away from them.
I'm still laughing over that. GameStop. I'm still laughing. I can't believe it.
Let's go, GameStop boys.
Let's go.
Gamers rise up. TM.
Whatever these firms mean. I guess you just have to be one thing or the other, right? You gotta love something, you gotta hate something. You either gotta call people an SJW, or you gotta call people an alt-right sexist. It's all so stupid. It makes me sink in my seat. Nobody's thinking. People are silly.
This is from the guy who thinks there's politics in Star Wars. That's rich.
It sounds like he's trying to be like, oh, I'm very middle of the road. Listen to me. Whereas, like, no, you have literally just said anyone who disagrees with you is saying that they need to have films, like, they can never allow anyone, they can't watch anyone who doesn't have the same political beliefs as them. They can't watch their films. No one was fucking saying that, HelloGreedo. You can't just go through this entire video and say, look, I'm the middle guy. It's like, no, you're not the fucking middle guy.
I agree. You don't have to be an anarchist to read the Anarchist Cookbook.
It's so funny. For a lot of this, we were like, we don't give a shit about politics of people, and he's now advocating for people not giving a shit.
Oh boy. When were you radicalized, by the
Why
way?
don't every fucking opportunity I just said, oh, I've been called an SJW and I've been called alt-right. So fucking what? What does it matter what fucking people assume you are?
It matters.
What's that got to do with anything?
If you don't have your reputation, you lose everything. You can be canceled forever.
And L3 is a very good story part of
Side?
Solo.
I serve no one's side, only my own. Surprisingly accurate.
I never imagined that this kind of nonsense would infect the Star Wars community like it has. Really is a bummer. It's one thing to not like the new movies, right? I completely understand that. I'm on board with you. There's a lot of things that I don't like about the new movies, and there's a lot of things that I love about the new movies.
I'm looking at the hand motions now, and yeah, they really don't sync up to what the fuck he's saying. It's annoying me. The thing is, it really bothered me. Like originally, back a few weeks ago when I was trying to do my whataboutism video, my plan was to say all my lines in the motion capture suit and then voice all over. But it became very difficult to copy the exact timing of my words in the original thing. And when I didn't get the timing right, it would either be too long or too short, and everything would be out of sync. It bothered the fuck out of me because it really does matter, especially when you're not having any kind of facial movement, that everything does sync up. Like you're supposed to express yourself through your body, and if your body expressions are like not in sync with what you're saying, like for example, if I'm speaking extremely calmly and then my arms are up in the air and my head's going up and down like I'm screaming, it really doesn't fit. And that is a bit of an extreme example, but it's just like, why would you be making these hand motions specifically when you're saying to this beat?
Jedi, I have a very love-hate relationship with it. Some of my favorite moments in the saga are in The Last Jedi. Some of my least favorite moments in the saga are in The Last Jedi. Very love-hate relationship. But the fact that Kathleen Kennedy wore a t-shirt doesn't make me think there's some grand conspiracy out there about Star Wars. Golly. Why the fuck am I even talking about this? People are dumb. People are silly. There's no nuance.
Yeah, I'm looking at someone very dumb right now with no nuance. Congrats.
So is he just saying because he thinks there's politics in these like extra whatever themes or whatever messages from Star Wars, that there's nuance to Star Wars with like he didn't really sell me on that idea. I was like, is it there? It's like, where? Like what movie had it where the message was political or the theme was political or the conflict was political? It's a blip. It's like, yeah, here's a setting. The Senate. Yeah. That's not a political message. Where's the nuance?
Is mayonnaise a political message?
Yes.
I just wish he talked about, like, the only thing he mentioned was not like in Canto Bight, and there's all those things he pulled from it, but then he represented that in other films. He didn't say where. It had all these elements. Tyranny and freedom. And you're like, yeah, and? Is this expressed well? Is it expressed poorly? Is it clear? Does it make sense? Is it relevant to the plot? To a character? Like what? L3, we don't get that character. I don't understand her. Where did it come from? Why does it think this way? Because humans talk about AI in science fiction for the past 60 years? No, it's not an argument. You can't just throw elements in science fiction and hope it sticks. Especially space opera. Space opera is a giant collection of ideas, but you can't just throw them in. It doesn't make sense. You can't just do that.
Everybody's aged. Nothing makes sense anymore. I'm going to bed. Sometimes I think about my nieces, nephews, cousins, and the kids in my life who watch Star Wars, and I try to imagine a future where they're complaining.
Wait a second.
I look at the kids around me in my life and try to figure out which one of them are going to become strippers in the future.
So we went from him wandering about his house, now he's in his office the next morning. Oh, okay. I mean, it's nice to know he's got a progression of time here, but I don't know why he's telling us that. Because we've seen this office shot before, and it wasn't the morning then, so what is...
Oh, this doesn't look much like a morning unless he's shut himself in with his light off.
I don't know.
I guess he thinks it looks cool.
Are we changing topics now? Are you talking about his family? Okay, fine.
What?
About a cast.
What?
I mean, can you imagine that? I can't.
I can't.
They're not gonna give a damn. They're gonna look back at some of the silly YouTube rants complaining about different types of people in a movie.
They're gonna look at your
and
videos.
think we were a bunch of bitching and moaning idiots.
They're gonna look at us and say, "Wow, we're just putting a big old stick in the mud there. Why do you hate black people? You stupid."
Fuck, that's not the point. Is it? Did
You
they
have
do a good job?
problem with a black
Not really.
person who's horribly written. I guess you hate black people.
I don't have a problem with a black person horribly written. I have a problem with a character that's horribly written. The actor just happens to be black. Checkmate, atheist. Fight me in 1v1 in Minecraft.
What if it's an
Snipers only.
animated film?
You just don't like this black character because you're racist, or it's horribly written.
Oh, it's racistly written horribly. Awesome.
You can actually argue. I think John Boyega actually did that. The like fucking character of Finn is actually racistly portrayed or something like that because he's nothing but a joke.
Really?
Not very positively, but diverse, is it?
I just realized, by the way, that the aesthetic of like his workspace is also Stormtrooper. So he's just obsessed with Stormtrooper helmet. But it's like part of his personality now, and he wears his own Stormtrooper outfit. So it's like, there's like a weird egotistical thing going on where the Star Wars brand is a part of his identity, but only the helmet, because the helmet represents his ego. It's like his head. That's pretty funny. It's like I wear the helmet and the helmet is my icon, because that is where I truly am. I am stuck between the Star Wars world and the real world.
I wish.
The only thing of note about HelloGreedo is he's a normal guy that wears a helmet.
Yeah, but
so
there's
nothing really else of note about him. So I don't understand that he makes that his icon because he's the guy that wears a fucking bucket on his head.
If you ever check out his hardcover of his book, and maybe he has like a picture of the author at the back, and it's just him with the helmet. He's just holding it.
Really?
Well, that's what I want to know.
That's hilarious.
I would love to see that, because if you're going to go all the way and you're going to write a stupid book about yourself, you may as well.
I thought you said he factually did have it.
No. That's what I want. I want to see that, like in a hardcover, because it's so much. Every single thing he has to wear that. It's like, okay, good, yeah, we get it.
Even in the live streams with his face cam, which was just very confusing.
Why do you even have a face cam?
More and more I see generation, the more we get older, the more I feel like we're just that old dude on his porch screaming at people. I think my generation is going to be known for just being super loud on the internet. And on the flip side of that kind of outrage, I don't think there should ever be a quota for that kind of thing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with writers wanting to write about things that they're familiar with. If I was to write a fiction book, I'd probably write a character very similar to myself.
Okay, so
that's fucking reasonable.
Right? I've always said...
Okay, so he wants writers to say whatever they want. Great. What's wrong with critics saying whatever they want, then?
No idea. I don't know what he's complaining about. He just is. It's like he cites an issue and he just like throws a monkey wrench into the, or he throws like a grenade into the
he says nothing,
and then he comes back from it and he goes, yeah, I never really wanted to hurt anybody with that grenade I threw into the middle of the crowd. I'm just trying to keep the peace and everything, and da 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 da. It's very weird.
Here's some advice for anyone who is trying to make a video and doesn't want to be HelloGreedo. Go by point, evidence, explain, expand, and then at the very end you have a conclusion. Because, Jesus Christ, this video seems like it's barely had one draft and it has no structure at all. He doesn't even fucking bring up context. He just says things. And then he just, like later, it's like, no, I don't need any context for what I'm saying. I don't need any examples. I may be calling all these people opportunists and grifters, but I don't need to point to anyone in particular, because that might mean that I might be attacking someone. And, I'm just doing it very indirectly.
In every capacity, that I'm 100% for writers and creative people being unshackled in their ideas and having absolute creative freedom.
Really? So creative people like
Good
critics who say what they want and have complete freedom to say whatever they like on YouTube, and even though you just
critics, shut up.
Shut up, critic. You have a problem with a black character, critic? Well, looks like you're a racist, critic.
I don't grasp this argument. It's like, dude, you're just bashing everyone who thinks differently than you. Now you're like, oh, I've totally great for everyone to just say whatever they like. Yeah, let's go freedom. First Amendment, woohoo! What? Okay.
People are inspired by what they know and what they are around.
Good for
so
you.
The resistance is a military force, right? Then let me talk about
How did we get to this topic?
I mean, it's debatable if it's a military force.
That
it's
was
kind of
two
powerful.
sentences.
Say that.
No, this guy's jumping. Like, dude.
Look,
I think creators should be able to free to do whatever they want creatively. The resistance is a resistance for, like, what?
the thing is, sure, a writer can do whatever they want creatively, but the thing is, I can still say this is horribly written. It's like, surely the artist wants to make something which is well written, so they would, constrain themselves within the rules of writing.
If I ever make a video, I'll do that. I'll just say an argument, just say it, and then just randomly say, the resistance is a military force.
Just take all your sentences and just copy and paste them all over the place.
I'm best friends with LiteratureDevil, and the house I live in is very big. The streets of London are actually very cramped. The garage outside my house doesn't hold a car. The grass is very green. It makes just as much sense as literally any fucking thing I'm hearing. It's just making a statement and then just jumps to something, literally anything else. It's hilarious.
Make your non sequitur be the bridge to another non sequitur. Oh, okay.
The wallpaper of my room is not one singular color.
What did you do? We gotta rewind this. Come on.
Creative freedom. People are inspired by what they know and what they are around. Okay, so the resistance is a military force, right? Then let me talk about my experience in the United States Navy. I've worked at a lot of random places in my life, and when it came to being around people of all shapes and sizes, backgrounds, cultures, you name it, nothing even came close to the Navy.
Just a question, are there a lot of very fat military people?
What?
I mean, he's saying if he worked with people of all shapes and sizes. I'm like, wait. Don't you need to be in a certain shape to be in the military?
Well,
no, you don't.
My uncle kind of lost...
Actually.
No.
Well, my
You can
uncle
be a
stopped.
fat motherfucker in the military. Smack you, dumbass Poe. Get the fuck up.
Well, my uncle
God
stopped
damn
being
it,
fit,
Ted!
so
What?
that's probably why they threw him out.
So maybe in his military it was very inclusive. So they had short, tall, fat, thin, young, old, male, female, and everything in between.
Look, the military is incredibly fat phobic. We need to allow more fat people to become Marines.
Oh yeah, man, that's good cannon fodder.
And I want to imagine just like some really obese guy in the Navy that just go to like one side of the boat and all just tips to the side.
All right. Here we. It's just
Not even close. I even served with non-citizens who barely spoke English, serving in a foreign nation's military.
Good for you. What's this got to do with anything?
To citizenship. The hodgepodge of humanity, the mixed bag of people, the jumble of languages and cultures, the human soup of diversity in my nation's
Human
military.
soup. He calls it human soup. Becomes the human soup, eats the bugs. Wow.
I think
I went around the world and I just saw how beautiful people were. I know I'm a part of a totally like Orwellian authoritarian apparatus bombing brown people, but like it was totally enlightening, you guys. Wow.
Did you consume the human soup?
Do you think?
Is that what the helicopters did? They turned people into human soup.
Okay, so the analogy in America is it's a melting pot, right? You have all these people come together and they become Americans through lifestyle and choice. Canada is like a quilt. Everyone's sort of their own thing, their own society, their own culture, and they just sort of integrate that way. So I think he took that analogy a bit too literal and then went to soup.
Human soup.
I guess the Canadian would be what would we be? The human Weetabix or anything?
A diverse soup of human blood as we went across
The Rubicon, destroying all of the people that stood against us. It was amazing.
Oh,
I
God.
learned so much about different cultures when I shot at them.
Every army for different countries a different dish.
Oh, I know. The Switzerlander sweater of Canada, just this very elaborate, thick sweater, very ornate. Oh.
Is probably the best example of people working together without much commonality, at least on the exterior, that I can imagine. Certainly that I've been a part.
Is this just become a random argument for diversity?
I don't know.
Like.
It's
So it went from politics to diversity, and
No.
you can say there's a crossover between the two.
he went from
But you have literally just jumped from one to the other.
he went from freedom of speech,
And that is really weird because you know what? Sure, it's great that there are many people of different nationalities, and there's some, common cause. You can relate to each other, blah, 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 blah. You can get along. Big human harmony, sure. What's that got to do with fucking films? We don't care
Shiny.
about the skin color.
With
We
the-
fucking care that you keep forcing these checklist characters in there, and it's damaging the writing. These are horrible, abysmal characters.
I'm not
Fuck
sh-
off.
I'm not sure how he categorized this. It could have been a paragraph. It could have been 3 separate sentences. But he went from, I believe in 100% freedom speech from artists, whatever, to then he referenced the rebellion being a military organization, and he showed the panning shot of the picture they took. And then he started talking about his time in the military. And I don't know what any of those 3 things have to do with each other.
And human soup.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Delicious human soup. Give it to me now.
Soup.
Let me consume it.
Soup.
the human soup.
Part of. The idea that a fighting force that spans a galaxy, made up of other species from an incalculable amount of planets, wouldn't be a mixed salad of humanity is to me ridiculous.
Why salad?
Arguing against that.
Who is fucking
again,
saying that it can't be diverse?
Can you stop talking about humans as if they're food? That's disgusting. Especially when they're soldiers. Ah, yes! More meat for the grinder!
No, they're salads.
Kill all the different humans! Send them to the front lines immediately!
I'm the croutons.
Schwarzenegger.
Put the soup and the salad together. Yeah. Oh no, I'm gonna shut up now.
Needs more pepper.
Grinder, yeah. Grind them up. Coming from someone who can make food analogies
It's
proper.
just a huge straw man, because we're not saying that you can't have black characters. We're not saying that you can't have female characters. We're saying that these characters are fucking abysmal. The ones that you have put in front of us and that taste like shit,
Shiny.
Mr. Human Soup.
We don't even know if
You know what
that's
the problem is? The problem is that whenever they use these defenses, as appeals to a number, like a large quantity. They go, why are you complaining about this one movie that has a girl in it? Like, just one role. I mean, like, seriously, like, you don't think that this movie would have like a bunch of these people and these people? And then you go, no, the problem is that every single thing becomes the exact same thing for some reason. There's like some precocious lesbian girl, or there's some like strong independent black woman with some sort of fro from 1970 written by a white guy or a Jewish guy or whatever in Los Angeles. And it's like it's she's really obnoxious, but she's empowered. And it's always the same tropes that they play over and over again. And the defense of poor writing and the overusage of tropes that are outside of the writing skill and writing area of the person actually writing it has created this industry of selling the statistics that you have. The first this person, the first woman to direct a Star Wars movie. This is the first midget to direct a Star Wars movie, okay? And they prefer the term little person, okay? This is the first, and that's why you have to watch it. Ewoks, it has a real Ewok directing the movie. You have to go watch it. If you don't, you're a white supremacist. You're a racist. You're a terrible person. Please subscribe to my Patreon.
Oh dear. That reminds me of this stupid argument I had with this I don't know, person who thought Rey was not a Mary Sue. We covered the Goldman's video. This is a comment on one of those videos we did, and they were accusing me of hating women, and I was just like, where did that come from? Like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, why else would you argue against this, that she's not a Mary Sue, or she is a Mary Sue? It's like, what does that have anything to do with my supposed hatred? Like, how do those two work? And the opinion was, I don't know if you guys remember, the Goldman was saying how Rey's weakness was she had a parental dependency, and she always wanted to be accepted by her authority figure with this or that. And I'm like, yes, she does want that. She does want to know who her parents are. She does want these things, but it's not a character need. It's not a thing that affects her as a character in the progression of the story. It doesn't affect other people around her. It doesn't affect her personally. It gets her riled up, and we see that in episode 9, amazingly, where Kylo actually, attacks her on that, which is good. Talking about episode 9 as being good, but that was it. Like, it had nothing to do with the plot. So who cares what her parents are or were or this or that? But because we didn't accept that fact as being an actual weakness in a character, this person thought we hated, or at least I hated her as because she was a female, which just because we disagreed. That's what they and I kept saying I don't dislike her because she's female, and I just had to give up talking to this person because there's no point. There's like, they've made up their mind and they're trying to argue with me, and it's like, listen, I told you I don't believe this, and they won't stop about it. So this happens at least weekly. So it's not a huge issue, but it's very commonplace.
Again, to me, shows a real lack of experience. And when did different types of people
What does that have to do with Star Wars being political, buddy?
Yeah, now it's going to diversity. It's
I completely forgot that was originally about Star Wars.
So I'm a racist, and Star Wars is political. Is that the message here?
You're just racist.
Is that
He's just not experienced.
I don't know the military. I'm a racist. Okay.
Being in a thing become a political statement. It's just so
It's not a political statement. You're part of the military.
Smart, you haven't tasted the human soup with a side of human salad.
The human soup comes for all.
And I really hate the I'm just more experienced than you. Shut up argument. It is shit.
I got to go join the military to understand Greedo's
human soup.
Whatever.
Wait, would I have to join the American military?
I'm experienced. Yes. You're not. Shut the fuck up.
Join the stormtroopers.
Here's my very loosely padded argument from authority. Why are you so dumb? Like, what?
As I was on the Death Star ordering the destruction of Alderaan, I just realized how diverse the Stormtrooper ranks were.
Based.
This is absolutely amazing. Look at all these people working together in common cause to destroy an entire planet full of people.
Fucking
brilliant.
Isn't it lovely?
And weird to me. It's so weird. And I've seen people say things like, Disney cares more about diversity than story.
Yes.
Which is, again, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's a nonsense
Oh
statement.
my
It just
fucking
makes no
god.
sense. It's just one of those things that people say that you can't
How?
really refute because they can't really back it up.
What?
It's just a balloon without
We can-
anything in it.
No, but we can look at the motivation behind. Okay, we look at the character of Rey. We look at the character of Finn. What they're both shit. Why are they shit? Because again, with Rey, it was nothing but a fucking checklist. Because they couldn't have an unprogressive female character. It had to be very progressive. It was not about telling a well-written character. It was about telling a character which never had any flaws, could never fail, always won. Everyone loved her to be a strong idea of a woman. And obviously no one can fucking relate to that because it's impossible to be someone who is loved by everyone. Even the fucking villain has a hard-on for Rey, even though it doesn't make any fucking sense.
She's special.
So yeah, there is motivation behind it. And you can't say that we don't know, because we do. There are plenty of evidence that you can look at behind the scenes where they have actively stated, and we can see these characters, the reason why they've done it this way.
So
Ah,
you
God, hello,
did
Greedo.
story in the new movies.
Goodbye, Greedo.
That's fine. Just say that. Don't concoct some nonsense explanation making up things to be upset about. You didn't like it. That's fine. That's cool.
Not
I
only
didn't
did we not like it,
It
it
wasn't a good
fucking
story.
abysmal.
But if you say
No.
it's influenced by politics or the creator was overstepping their boundaries, no, you're wrong.
Shut up, HelloGreedo.
But isn't it?
You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Get back on that helicopter and fly back out of here.
Didn't you just say that in this video that creators are influenced by the politics?
We're influenced by everything, including politics. Of course you'd be influenced by politics. And then he attacked a straw man there. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, what division did he serve in? The PSYOP division?
I'm pretty sure it was the division that
Counterintelligence.
was cleaning toilet paper.
No, it was the kitchen division.
He was the
I'm sure.
the video cartographer guy who just records all the video and watches all the other guys do work.
Yeah, when I served in the military, I was making propaganda. So then I just decided to take that and apply that to my love for Star Wars. Now I make pro-Disney propaganda. Ba-dum-tsh.
You just didn't like a film.
Look, man, if you don't like Star Wars, you ain't black.
I gotta say, I'm getting some good laughs out of Biden these days. I was expecting,
Message coming
He's a
in.
grand disaster.
Patching it
he
through.
is. I don't even know if he's conscious half the time. Wow.
He is the dual.
Don't worry, he'll
ejected.
die in like, I don't know, a few days.
Yeah,
He'll
that's what
get
it
someone
feels
else. He'll
like.
get Kamala Harrison. There you go.
He's gonna take a nap or something. Like, holy crap.
He'll take a nap and he won't.
No,
wake up.
Shine, you haven't thought before enough. Kamala Harris, she will elect Hillary Clinton as a VP. Then Kamala Harris will die. Then we get Clinton as president, and Pelosi will become VP.
Oh my
It's
god.
pronounced Kamal Leviosa,
It's-
not Kamal
it's the cycle.
Leviosa.
It's the cycle of stupidity. Now, talking about a different kind of stupidity. Hello, Greedo.
There's a lot of things
No.
that I don't like.
Yes.
It's okay to not like things.
No, it isn't.
I really do look at my daughter and think to myself, when she watches The Force Awakens or Rogue,
When I watch this story with my kid, she goes, "Wow, Dad, I want to be a Star Wars when I grow up." And I go, "Daughter, you can be whatever you want, except
We've never
for me."
said you can't not like the fucking films. We're just gonna call bullshit if you think they're good. And the motivations behind why they are shit and the reasons behind their shit is politically motivated. So fuck off, Hello Greedo.
Oh.
Wander the Jedi, she's not gonna care about anything that people are ranting and raving about. I can't believe you like that movie. Did you know the president of the company that made the movie said a thing that I did not like? I like Rey. I can't believe you like that movie. Can you believe the social media manager of the company that made the movie said a thing on the internet that I did not like?
You need to be more like my kid.
K2SO is funny. I like K2SO. As Private Jackson once told Corporal Upham, careful you don't step in the bullshit.
What? What was that?
Quote.
How did we get from politics to your kid?
Okay, HelloGreedo. Like Darth Vader said, be careful not to choke on your aspirations.
What the hell did we just watch?
Careful not to choke on Disney's dick.
That was like a pinball machine. It's like, oh, let's go here. Oh, my kid is great. Oh, you did better learn from that. My kid's smart. Like, what?
I love these stories about. Why is it always these kind of people who bring in their kids and like, oh look, they were so smart when they're small. Look, so I don't care.
I just can't believe like that was just the whole gamut of crap. He's like, dude, if you believe in freedom of expression, and I think you're totally free to say whatever you like, great. Then you can't get angry or get pissed off that other people disagree with you. Address the arguments.
I mean, if they do it for extremely stupid reason, I can understand. But
yeah, but he didn't do that. He didn't address one. He showed a bunch of pictures of tabloids. That's look at this.
Yes.
They remind me of the thumbnails of other YouTubers who say stupid shit. You're like,
what a load of shit this was.
Yeah, their thumbnails are pretty stupid. But
just consume Star Wars. Don't have an opinion that is different. Okay, you can like it or dislike it, but just shut up because you need to learn to enjoy it. Okay. Be more like a 5-year-old.
Oh boy. HelloGreedo. I don't think I ever want to do any more of his videos. I think we don't have any more on the dockets, but
so boring.
He is a waste.
It's nonsensical. There is no sense of an argument at all. It's just, here's the thing. Walls are blue. Doors are brown.
You know what though?
Star Wars
to 10
is
minutes.
okay.
He made it to 10 minutes, so we got there. He got his advertisements. So I guess we're wrong, you know? He got it. He did it.
What's one sec? Maybe there'll be something else. Okay. Nope, it's just the ending.
Nope. Mission accomplished, boys. 10 minutes.
We got
advertisements.
Oh, listen to the fans. I guess we should watch this video by HelloGreedo. He's had some absolutely brilliant and wonderful takes. Huh? Guys?
Let's not.
No! No. From my point of view, you're evil.
Well, you're correct.
Okay, that was enough for one evening. That was 2 hours and over 2 hours and a half of. Well,
today was supposed to be my rest day from the bullshit because I just spent a week like busting my ass off to get that interview finished. Yeah. And then you dragged me into this, Smud. I don't forgive you.
Everything is purely on asking and accepting of my ask to come on the show. So.
That is true. That is true.
I still blame you, even though I consented to come on. I still blame you for everything.
Okay, that's fair.
That was a great video. Thank you so much. Best chat. Excellent.
Yeah, that was fun. That was funny. That was.
He just proved us wrong, man. He's so right about everything. I don't know what I've been doing this whole time.
I never thought I'd hear anyone in my life talk about diversity as human soup.
And salads.
Just drink the human soup and eat the bugs and consume, and you'll be good to go, I guess.
After the human soup, you have the human salad. It's great. The military
With Italian or
fantastic,
French
guys.
dressing? That's important.
Probably both, because diversity is our strength. You know, just mix it all together. Just take all the ingredients and put them together, whether or not they taste good together.
My head is a soup right now. I really needed those digestive biscuits, but I need some digestives for my brain.
I actually had soup today. It was.
I need to put this digestive biscuit in my face.
Take your head, put it in your door frame, and just slam the door. That will help the digestion.
It'd make too much of a noise. I don't want to wake the neighbors.
No, true enough.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna call it a night. That was HelloGreedo, guys. Thanks for joining me in this romp of That was only 11 minutes. My God, that felt like a ramble.
Like every second was packed with so much shit.
Just random shit. You're like, what? Why are we talking about your time in the military? Like, what are you like? Oh my God.
Star Wars is good because when I was in the military, diversity. And then my kid, like she's just like, I love Rey, and that's why you shouldn't be so angry. Like, what's wrong with you? Racist.
Oh God. Anyway, thank you guys. I'm gonna call it a night. Have a great evening. Thank you for the suggestion, but please no more HelloGreedo. And you can recommend other YouTubers like Renegade Cut and all those other guys we don't like, but just at least they have something insane. Like, we know there's a mental problem there. This guy's just, I don't know, empty, devoid. So
boring, bland, 10-minute long for the advertisement. That's it. In and out. Let's go.
Yeah. Well,
blame the fans. Check mark. Out of here.
I blame you all. Of course, everyone's to blame here. We've all taken part in this process.
Just don't like Rey, you guys. God, that would solve everything. It would be so great.
So
just everybody got along in the world. Kumbaya. Imagine there's no dislikes on Twitter or whatever.
So keep the suggestions coming in the suggestions channel and voting on the Smudcast voting sections. There's 7 of them right now. So please do come to the Discord. Tell us what to watch next and critique next. We'll talk to you guys real soon. Have yourself a great evening. Bye-bye now.